Chapter 141. Isn't it just a name? After hearing Elder Xiao's decision, Lu Qingshan's eyes rolled to the back and he fainted. Everyone cheered and praised Elder Xiao for being fair. They even lamented that good versus evil would be rewarded in the end. Yun Chuzi and the others had mixed feelings in their hearts. If it was not for little Zhou being vigilant this time, they would definitely have been expelled from the sect. They must learn more from little Zhou in the future. As for Yun Chuzhou, this fellow was actually secretly ridiculing them. This Elder Xiao is really fucking stingy. He's only giving us 5 spirit stones. Before Elder Xiao left, he gave Yun Chuzhou a deep look and said, "Take good care of yourself." Then he rode off and left. Good my ass. Tui. If it was not for the fact that this young lady was extremely intelligent, would she not have been chased out of the Spirit Radiance sect by an old fogey like him? Yun Chuzhou bowed deeply to everyone. Senior brothers and sisters, it's all thanks to everyone for upholding justice for us today. If it weren't for all of you, we might really been wronged. In terms of spiritual power, everyone here is stronger than us, and we don't have any great abilities either. However, when everyone comes to the cafeteria to eat, we will definitely do our best to help everyone. Yun Chujia's words unobtrusively flattered everyone, and then she expressed her gratitude from the bottom of her heart. When everyone heard this, their hearts were full and they all expressed that their actions were chivalrous and did not seek anything in return. Yun Chuzhou was escorted back to the cafeteria. It was lunchtime and the cafeteria was filled with people. After the onlookers entered, they began to ramble on and on about the incident. Those disciples who did not go felt regretful. They had actually missed such a wonderful show. However, these servants had really brought pride to Middle Peak. What they did was equivalent to slapping the West Peak Law Enforcement Agency in the face. Therefore, when it was time for dinner, many disciples started to pay attention to Yun Chuzhou and the others. When they saw Yun Chujia's shabby appearance, they felt a little pity and sympathy for her. Word spread like wildfire. Soon, almost everyone in the Spirit Radiance sect heard about this matter. Yun Chuzhou and the others immediately became famous, especially because Yun Chuzhou herself was too discerning. She was the youngest, the tankiest, and a good-for-nothing without any spiritual power. She even had a weird-looking handkerchief wrapped around her head and 2 small tails behind her head. Plus, she also had a fire-breathing crow as her spiritual pet. In the next few days, there were obviously many more people who came to the Middle Peak cafeteria for dinner than usual. Most of them were there to see Yun Chuzhou. Yun Chuzhou did not mind. She could just watch. After all, she would not lose a piece of meat if she did. During dinner that day, there was commotion in the cafeteria. It was among the female disciples. All of them looked at a person with watery eyes. That person walked over to Yun Chuzhou, who was serving the dishes. "Junior sister little Jiu, can we talk outside for a moment?" Yun Chuzhou looked up and saw that it was Feng Ming. It was all thanks to him that she was able to enter the Spirit Radiance sect. Therefore, Yun Chuzhou smiled very brightly. "Senior brother Feng Ming, long time no see." Yun Chuzhou greeted Elder Huang and followed Feng Ming out of the cafeteria. "Little girl, I didn't expect that after a few days of not seeing you, you would become famous in the Spirit Radiance sect," Feng Ming said with some ridicule. Yun Chuzhou laughed dryly. "Sorry for making you laugh. What famous person? Isn't it just a person's name?" Feng Ming listened to Yun Chujia's interesting words and started chatting with Yun Chuzhou. Yun Chuzhou also felt that Feng Ming was experienced and knowledgeable. It was rare that he did not put on airs, so the more they chatted, the happier they became. In the end, Feng Ming even curiously touched the 2 little tails behind Yun Chujia's head. As soon as Feng Ming touched it, he felt his scalp go numb. His body was catapulted outside and it fell to the ground in a sorry state. Chapter 142, Gigolo. "Get the hell out of here." Yun Chuzhou was shocked. "Senior brother Feng Ming, what happened to you?" Feng Ming was stunned. Fuck. The image that he had maintained for so many years was ruined. Who was the one plotting against him? Feng Ming looked around. There were only a few disciples whispering to each other. There was no one suspicious at all. I've been practicing a spell recently. I made a mistake just now. Junior sister little Jiu, this is a small snack I brought back from the outside. Take it back and eat it." Feng Ming jumped up and pretended to be calm. He handed a few paper bags to Yun Chujio. When Yun Chujio heard that there was food, she immediately beamed with joy. Thank you, senior brother Feng Ming. Well then I'll leave first. I'll come and see you another day. Feng Ming always felt that his scalp was a little hairy. He had a feeling that he was being targeted by an almighty. After saying that, he left in a hurry. Yun Chujio waved her hand at Feng Ming and said sweetly, Senior brother Feng Ming, come and see me often in the future. Feng Ming felt as if his back was being pricked by needles. He answered vaguely and ran even faster. Yun Chujio shook her head in puzzlement. It was really strange. Could it be that senior brother Feng Ming was in a hurry to go to the toilet? How could he run so fast? Yun Chujio returned to the kitchen and some female disciples came up to her. Junior sister little Jiao. Why is senior brother Feng Ming looking for you? Yun Chujio quickly caught the envy and jealousy in the eyes of those female disciples. She smiled and said, it's nothing. Senior brother Feng Ming said that although I have protected Middle Peak's property, I shouldn't be arrogant and complacent, and I should learn from my senior brothers and sisters. He even mentioned a few names. The eyes of the female disciples immediately lit up, and they looked at Yun Chujio expectantly. Whose names did senior brother Feng Ming mention? Yun Chujio counted with her fingers and told almost all the female inner sect disciples that she knew. When the outer sect female disciples heard it, they immediately became dispirited and scattered. Yun Chujio smiled, hopped around and asked Yun Chuzi to put away the oil paper bag. Then she carried on with her work. After finishing her work, Yun Chujio shared the snacks in the oil paper bag with everyone. Then she took her share and hopped back to her own yard while humming a little tune. As soon as she entered the yard, Yun Chujio felt her hair standing on its end. Her heart skipped a beat and she was about to run out. Get in here. If you dare to run, I'll break your legs. An angry shout came from inside the house. Yun Chujio closed her eyes and took a deep breath. A bright smile instantly appeared on her face. So it's you, my Prince Charming. Oh, go in now. How do you want me to approach you? Do you want me to do it politely, or shall I enter ravishingly? A cold snort came from inside the house. Black thing. If you continue to dawdle, I'll tear your house down. Yun Chujio cursed the gigolo in her heart more than 100 times and ran all the way into the house. Yun Chujio entered the house and saw Di Biming sitting on the chair with a gloomy face, staring at her with his dead eyes. You're finally willing to come home? Are you that greedy? Are you that worthless? Are you shameless just to get some food? Di Biming recalled the scene he saw earlier and was burning with anger. He wanted to strangle that gigolo to death. Yun Chujio was stunned at first. Then she threw the paper bag in her hand at Di Biming. Gigolo. I've tolerated you for a long time. Who are you calling worthless? Who are you calling shameless? Get out. Yun Chujio had always been a big-hearted person and did not care what others said. However, for some reason, when she heard Di Biming's words, her heart blazed like hellfire. If she did not vent her anger, she would go crazy. Chapter 143. Did not return home at night. Di Biming turned his body sideways to avoid the oil paper bag. Then, he looked at Yun Chujio, who was as angry as a little lion. He was dumbfounded. Yun Chujio was obviously blinded by anger. She grabbed Di Biming's collar and said, Get out. Get out of here. Yun Chujio used all her strength, but she could not move Di Biming even a little. Instead, she almost fell into Di Biming's arms. You're not going to get lost, are you? Fine. If you're not going to get lost, I will. Yun Chujio ran out of the house angrily. She slammed the door and ran out of the courtyard. Little Black, who had been worried all this time, quickly flew down from the tree at the courtyard and escaped with Yun Chujio. And Feng and An, who were keeping watch in the dark, looked at each other. What was going on? Why did the ninth miss run out on her own? Why did she look so furious? Where was His Excellency? After a while, the sound of something breaking could be heard from inside the room. TSK. An, I think His Excellency and the ninth miss were quarreling. Yes. He must be jealous. When he saw that gigolo touching the ninth miss head, the cold air from him almost froze me to death. If it weren't for the quality of the invisibility talisman, I would have been discovered by others. Yes. Our Lord is also a fool. He said that Miss Jo was angry, so he should have coaxed her. He unexpectedly took it out on his thing. Tiske, how worrying. Yes. Damn Anine. Can't you say anything else aside from yes? Yes. And Feng was speechless. Yun Chujo left the courtyard angrily. The more she thought about it, the angrier she became. Little Black, do you think that gigolo is unreasonable? He actually said that I'm not worth anything and that I'm shameless. PFTT. He's the shameless one. How many opportunities have I presented to him? How many meals has he eaten from me? He's worthless. He's the shameless one. Master, you're right. That gigolo is the worst. The little black bird was still holding a grudge against D. Biming for throwing it out. The two masters' pets secretly scolded D. Biming. Then Little Black asked weakly, Master, that gigolo wants settle scores later, right? He wants strangle us to death, right? He still has to drink my blood. He won't kill me. If he wants to kill me, he would have done so just now. Let's go. We'll stay at Fifth Sister's place today. Yun Chujo said confidently. In fact, she was a little afraid. Impulse was the devil. Why did she not hold back? She hoped that the gigolo would not go rogue. She had not lived long enough. Yun Chujo brought the little black bird to Yun Chua's courtyard. Yun Chu was very puzzled. Little Jo, do you need me for something? Fifth Sister, I miss you. I'll sleep over with you tonight. Yun Chujo said with a smile. Although Yun Chua was a little surprised, she did not care too much. Little Jo was still young after all. Perhaps she was not used to living on her own. So the two sisters simply washed up and chatted for a while before resting. Yun Chujo, this heartless person, had already fallen asleep. D. Biming was hopping around madly in the room. Good. Very good. You black thing. You actually aren't coming home tonight. D. Biming wanted to find Yun Chujo. But as soon as he got up, he felt dizzy and spat out a mouthful of blood. He fainted on the ground with a bang. Outside, Feng and Anine heard something amiss and rushed into the house. Your Excellency! Your Excellency! Anine quickly took out a porcelain bottle from his storage ring, poured out a pill, and stuffed it into D. Biming's mouth. Anine, what's going on? Why did our Excellency suffer such a serious internal injury? And Feng suddenly lost his usual disregard, and his eyes were filled with hostility. Chapter 144. Liar, could it be that that person has also come to Qingxian continent? Besides him, I really can't think of anyone else who could injure our revered sir so badly. And Feng's expression froze. Anine nodded. Yes, but he didn't gain any benefits either. His injury is even worse than our revered sir's. Humph. Our revered sir is too honest. If he was as calculative as the ninth miss, he would have already dealt with that person. Right, I'll go look for the ninth miss. Perhaps her blood would be beneficial to our revered sir's injury. And Feng turned around and ran to Yun Chua's courtyard after he finished speaking. He knocked on the door a few times. Miss Jo, your master is here. He wants to see you. Yun Chujo and Yun Chu were startled awake. Yun Chu was a little confused. Little Jo, why is your master here? Isn't there someone guarding the Spirit Radiant Sex Mountain Gate? Yun Chujo gritted her teeth secretly. It must be the gigolo who sent Feng to capture her. She would not fall for his trick. Feng, the first courtyard on the left is my courtyard. Let master rest at my place for a night. I'll see him tomorrow morning. Miss Jo, your master is seriously injured. If you don't go over, I'm afraid you won't be able to see him anymore. And Feng tried really hard to get Yun Chujo back. Yun Chujo curled her lips. Who the fuck are you lying to? That gigolo had just scolded me just now. How did he get seriously injured in such a short time? Seriously injured my ass. However, Yun Chu was shocked. Little Jo, what are you standing there for? Hurry up and go take a look. I'll go with you. Seeing how worried Yun Chu was, Yun Chujo could only say, Fifth Sister, I'll go take a look. You don't have to go. My master has an ugly appearance and a strange temper. He also has epilepsy once in a while, so he can't meet outsiders. Outside, Feng staggered. Miss Jo, you're blatantly slandering our honored master. How could our honored master have an ugly appearance? Although his temper isn't that great, it can't be said that he has epilepsy, right? Besides, fifth sister, my master and the others sneaked into the spirit radiance sect. If they're discovered, it would be a great crime. The fewer people know, the better. Seeing that Yun Chujo was insistent, Yun Chuo could only give up and repeatedly remind her not to disobey her master, and that she must be more careful. Yun Chujo obediently nodded her head and agreed. She put on her coat and left the house. Little Jo rolled her eyes. Master, are they trying to trick us into going back? To kill us, silence us, and destroy the evidence? What's there to be afraid of? If worst comes to worst, I'll just kneel down and beg for mercy. Anyway, he said that I'm shameless. Yun Chujo said indifferently. Little Black was speechless. Master, you really don't have any moral integrity. Yun Chujo glanced at Enfong. Did the gigolo ask you to get me back? Gigolo? Enfong was stunned for a moment before he realized that Yun Chujo was referring to their master. He almost knelt down for Yun Chujo. My ninth miss, no wonder your esteemed self was so angry. You actually dared to call His Excellency a gigolo. His Excellency didn't strangle you on the spot, all thanks to your ancestors. That? Ninth miss, don't use this title in the future. Otherwise, His Excellence won't be able to control his temper every time. And Feng felt that it was better to remind Yun Chujo. That person told you to lie to me to get me back? Yun Chujo decided to sideline the term Prince Charming. Only that annoying person was not worthy of the term Prince Charming. That person. His Excellency is indeed seriously injured. It was already very serious. If he was angered by you again, he would have vomited blood. Otherwise, our Lord would have personally come to invite you back. And Feng decided to put in a good word for His Excellency. Chapter 145. Fell asleep, I angered him till he vomited blood? Do you think that he is Zhou Yu and I am Zhuge Liang? He vomited blood because of me? If I could make him vomit blood by angering him, I would have thought of a way to piss him to death. Yun Chujo rolled her eyes. And Feng might not understand who Zhou Yu and Zhuge Liang were, but he could still understand death. His expression was a little unhappy, but it made sense. No matter who was publicly cursed at their master's death, they would not be happy. Yun Chujo coughed dryly. About that, I was just joking. Your master can live for at least 10,000 years. That's right, that gigolo was a tortoise that could live for 10,000 years. And Feng then continued, Miss Zhou, our lord was injured by someone. And Yin had fed him a pill just now, but he's still unconscious. Injured by someone? Who is so brave? Who is so bold to hit him? Yun Chujo stuck out her tongue. Damn, she almost spoke her mind again. And Feng's eyes twitched. He is a sworn enemy of our revered sir. As they spoke, the two of them had already arrived at Yun Chujia's courtyard. They pushed open the door and entered the house. And Yin bowed to Yun Chujo and handed her a dagger. Yun Chujo immediately jumped away. What do you mean? Does he want me to commit suicide? And Yin was stunned. Miss Zhou, didn't Enfeng tell you? His Excellency's injuries are very serious. I hope that you can feed some of your blood to His Excellency. And Feng scratched his head. Yun Chujo had brought up the topic and he had forgotten to talk about business. You two head out. I'll take care of him. Yun Chujo blinked her eyes. Was this the gigolo's new trick to torture her? And Feng remembered what Yun Chujo had said. He said seriously, Miss Zhou, no matter what His Excellency has done to you previously, he has absolutely no intention of killing you. Moreover, His Excellency holds you in high regard, and he hopes that you will not do anything rash. Moreover, you still have the Yun family behind you. Yun Chujo sneered. Are you afraid that I'll kill him? Are you threatening me with the Yun family? If that's the case, then I'll go back. You can deal with it yourselves. And Feng smiled. Miss Zhou, I'm just guarding against the unexpected. I believe that you'll make the best choice. After saying that, Enfeng signaled an Yin with his eyes, and the two of them closed the door and left. Yun Chujo cursed in a low voice. What kind of master raises these kinds of underlings? They are all bad people. How dare they threaten me? Enfeng, just you wait. I'll get my revenge sooner or later. Hey, stop pretending. Tell me, how do you want to torture me? Yun Chujo turned around and said to Di Biming, who was lying on the bed. After waiting for a long time, there was no movement at all. Yun Chujo cupped her chin. Could it be true? Was the gigolo really unconscious? Yun Chujo took small steps to the front of the bed and saw Di Biming lying on his back. His eyes were tightly shut and his face was pale. Yun Chujia's heart froze. Was he really injured? Yun Chujo put her hand on Di Biming's pulse to check. She frowned. He was really suffering from serious internal injuries. Who was so powerful that he could beat this pervert to such a state? Yun Chujo picked up the dagger and cut her arm. Then she used her right hand to open Di Biming's mouth and let the blood slowly drip in. Hiss, damn it. It really hurts. This will be the reward for the cultivation technique you gave me. Yun Chujo bared her teeth and fed Di Biming more than 10 drops of blood. Di Biming's face slowly turned from pale to red. Yun Chujo could not help but complain. It seemed that her blood really had a miraculous effect on the gigolo. When Yun Chujo saw that Di Biming was fine, this big-hearted girl took a handkerchief to tie the wound. Then she yawned and blew out the candle. She walked past Di Biming and fell asleep on the side of the bed. Chapter 146. The gigolo wants to settle scores in his sleep. Di Biming felt that his limbs were tightly wrapped by an 8-clawed demonic fish. He was suddenly startled awake. Di Biming opened his eyes and could not help but be in a trance. Although he did not light a candle, the moon was very bright that night and the room was well lit. He saw Yun Chujo resting one arm on his chest and one leg on his leg. She was sleeping soundly. Saliva dripped from the corner of her mouth and she smacked her lips from time to time. The corner of Di Biming's eyes twitched and he said in a low voice, "So ugly." Di Biming glanced at the handkerchief wrapped around Yun Chujia's arm. There were faint traces of blood on it and he immediately figured the whole story. Di Biming's heart felt warm. The anger from before instantly dissipated. The black thing still cares about me. Those words from before must been angry words. I will not lower myself to her level. Di Biming carefully moved Yun Chujia's arms and legs away, and then stretched out his arms to wrap them around Yun Chujia's waist. He raised his eyebrows slightly. Black thing, seeing that you're treating my injuries, I'll reluctantly hug you. Black thing is really too thin, she should be well nourished. This thought flashed through Di Biming's mind before he fell asleep. Wake up. Wake up. Let's go to work. Along with the sound of the bell, Old Huang's energetic voice sounded. Yun Chujo frowned and mumbled, "It's so annoying. I have to wake up so early every day." Looking at the handsome face in front of her, Yun Chujo almost choked on her own saliva. Some scenes from the day before flashed through Yun Chujia's mind quickly. Then, her gaze fell on Di Biming's arm who was holding onto her waist. Yun Chujo carefully shouted, "Prince Charming? Prince Charming?" This guy had long forgotten what she said yesterday. For her life, not only would she call him Prince Charming, she could even call him Ancestor. Di Biming did not react at all. He even lifted one of his legs and put it on Yun Chujia's body. Yun Chujo was so angry that she gritted her teeth. She really wanted to kick this gigolo down, but, she did not dare. "Prince Charming? Prince Charming?" Yun Chujo called out a few more times, but Di Biming still did not respond. Yun Chujo could only rely on her courage to carefully move Di Biming's arm down, and then move her leg down again. Just when she was relieved, Di Biming stretched out his arm again and wrapped it around Yun Chujia's waist. Yun Chujo could only carefully move away again, but she did not expect Di Biming to press his leg up on her again. After a few times, Yun Chujo was furious. This gigolo must have done it on purpose. Even if he was a dead man, he should have woken up by then. Yun Chujo rolled her eyes and said sneakily, "Forget it. At worst, I just won't go to work. I can't let go of such a good opportunity today. Tisk, this body of my Prince Charming is really too fantastic. I didn't get to see enough last time. This time I can take off his clothes and have a good look." Yun Chujo stretched out her claws to take off Di Biming's clothes. Di Biming's eyelashes trembled. He opened his eyes and said in astonishment, "Black thing? How did you climb onto my bed? Get out." "Prince Charming, you're wrong. I almost died from blood loss last night because of you. You don't even thank me and want me to get out? You won't have any friends like this." Yun Chujo pointed at her left arm. Died because of you? If you didn't make me so angry that I vomited blood, why would I faint? Di Biming recalled what happened last night and frowned. Yun Chujo almost gave herself a big slap. It was over. The gigolo was going to get even. Di Biming sat up and stared at Yun Chujo gloomily. You said I was a gigolo yesterday? And you said I was worthless and shameless? And you asked me to get lost? Chapter 147. Children's words carry no harm. Yun Chujo laughed dryly. Prince Charming, children's words carry no harm. The corner of Di Biming's eyes twitched. Children's words? You are really thick-skinned. That's right, I'm still young. Of course, what I said is considered children's words. Yun Chujo nonchalantly pretended to be young. A 14-year-old was a proper teenager in modern times. Di Biming originally did not intend to pursue the matter from the previous night. Seeing Yun Chujius gag, he took the opportunity and said, "Humph, this venerable self is magnanimous and will spare you this time. If there's a next time, this venerable self will not spare you." Yun Chujo heaved a sigh of relief in her heart and said fawningly, "A male god is indeed a male god. I'm going to go to work now. When you leave, close the courtyard door properly. Be careful not to be discovered." The corners of Di Biming's mouth curled up and he lay back on the pillow. Who said I'm leaving? I'm going to stay in the Linghua faction for a period of time. Although your house is small and shabby, it doesn't attract any attention. I'll just stay here for now. What? You're not leaving? Yun Chujo cried out and almost jumped up from the bed. What? Don't you welcome me? Di Biming stared at Yun Chujo. Yun Chujo forced a smile. No. Why wouldn't I? I can't wait to see you every day. I'm too happy. Yes, I'm too excited. That's good. If you don't welcome me, just say it. I won't stay. Yun Chujo cursed in her heart. Damn it, do I dare to say it? If I do, this damn gigolo would strangle me to death. Then Prince Charming, you take care of your own safety. I'll go to work now. Yun Chujo climbed out of bed and put on her shoes as she said carefully, "This is for you. Don't eat the thing that bird gave you." Di Biming took out a fruit from his storage ring. Yun Chujius' eyes lit up. It was the same kind of spiritual fruit that she ate last time. She immediately beamed and said, "Thank you, Prince Charming. You're too kind." Yun Chujo ate the fruit in a few bites and hopped out of the house. When she was outside, Yun Chujo only remembered the last sentence that Di Biming had just said. Bird? A bird gave her something? Fuck. The gigolo's mouth was too mean. He meant that Feng Ming was a bird. No wonder senior brother Feng Ming fell for no reason yesterday. It was the gigolo's doing. Yun Chujo shook her head. This gigolo was having a seizure. He gave her cultivation techniques and fruits when he was happy, and wanted to kill her when he was unhappy. What a lunatic. And Feng and An saw Yun Chujo coming out and came over to salute. Yun Chujo curled her lips and threw the fruit core away. Forget it. I'm not worthy of your salute. Yesterday, you even threatened me with the Yun family. And Feng chuckled. Miss Jo, things are urgent. I was also anxious because I was afraid that you would regret it in the future if you acted rashly. Our esteemed sir is a man who is hard to find in this universe. Don't lose him. Hide well and don't drag me into it. It wasn't easy for me to enter the Spirit Radiance sect. I don't want to be chased out the moment I enter. Yun Chujo thought to herself. Hard to find in the universe? I don't want him even if you gave him to me for free. What the heck? He's mental. And Feng said proudly, Miss Jo, don't worry about this. Unless the Spirit Radiance sect master and elders pay attention to this courtyard, there won't be any problems. That's good. I'm going to work now. You guys watch the house for me obediently. Yun Chujo put her hands behind her back and walked away in a smug manner. Humph. She would just take it as having 3 house dogs. Ha ha ha. Chapter 148. Men and women dining together is not tiring. When Yun Chujo arrived at the dining hall, Yun Chu immediately came over and asked in a low voice, Little Jiu, how's your master? He's fine. He's already gone. My master likes to be mysterious. It wasn't a serious injury in the first place. Yun Chujo said nonchalantly. When Yun Chuo heard this, she was finally relieved. She returned to her post and began to wash the vegetables. After a few days, Yun Chujo had become very familiar with the people in the big kitchen, especially the few people in charge of the fire. Seeing that Yun Chujo was young, they let her take charge of only one pit. Yun Chujo slowly started the fire. She was thinking that her house would be occupied by the gigolo. For the next few days, she would go to fifth sister and the others to take turns living there. She did not believe that the gigolo would have the nerve to try and force her back. Yes, that's right. Let's do it. After finishing work that day, Yun Chujo held Yun Chuo's arm and said sweetly, "Fifth sister, I'll sleep over with you today." Yun Chuo also wanted to ask Yun Chujo about her master in detail, so she agreed readily. Yun Chujo thought proudly in her heart, "Gigolo, you can be my watchdog." I can't afford to fight and hide. Just as Yun Chujo arrived at Yun Chuo's door, Little Black flapped its short wings and flew over. Master! Master! The gigolo said that if you don't go back within 15 minutes, he will smash this row of houses into pieces. Yun Chujo gritted her teeth in anger. Damn gigolo! Alright, you were the one who told me to go back. Don't regret it when the time comes. Fifth sister, I've thought about it. I think I'd better go back to my own place. I'll come back to your place another day. Yun Chuo sighed. Alright. Truly acting like a child. Always thinking out loud. Yun Chujo thought to herself, "Fifth sister, it's not that I'm always thinking out loud. It's that damn gigolo who's always thinking out loud." Yun Chujo thought of an idea as she walked. She would definitely torture the gigolo. Yun Chujo did not knock on the door and entered the house casually. She saw that the broken pieces of the original table in the house were gone, and a brand new table was placed on it. There were 8 dishes on it, and Di Biming was eating slowly with his chopsticks. The 8 dishes were all delicious. Yun Chujo immediately forgot about the idea she had previously thought of. She said shamelessly, "Idol, do you feel lonely and cold eating alone?" Di Biming looked at her and said, "Go out and call Feng and Anin to come in and eat with me." Yun Chujia's face stiffened and she rubbed her hands with a dry smile. Idol, as the saying goes, men and women go together. It's not tiring to eat. Let me accompany you. Don't call on them. They still need to be on guard. Men and women go together, and it was not tiring to eat? Di Biming almost spat out the rice in his mouth. Di Biming coughed dryly. You? I feel like I don't have the appetite to eat after seeing you. Yun Chujo was so angry that she rolled her eyes. Fuck. You fucking see that I don't have the appetite, so why did you call me back so eagerly? This gigolo really doesn't have any good intentions. He is torturing me with delicious food. Di Biming saw that Yun Chujo was so angry that she was twitching. The corner of his mouth curled up. Shouldn't you have already eaten your dinner at the big kitchen? Can you still eat? Yun Chujia's eyes lit up. Yes, I can. I'm not full to begin with. Okay, then let's eat together. Yun Chujo immediately smiled like a flower. Prince Charming, you're such a good person. Di Biming took out a pair of bowls and chopsticks from his storage ring and handed it to Yun Chujo. Yun Chujo decided to scrap the previous bad idea. There was still something to be said for a gigolo. Chapter 149. Indeed, a nouveau riche Yun Chujo could not wait to pick up a piece of food and put it into her mouth. Then her eyes narrowed into slits as she wolfed down the food. Di Biming put down his chopsticks after a few mouthfuls. Seeing that Yun Chujo was enjoying the food, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. If he continued to feed the black thing like this, it would definitely gain weight. When the time came, he would not have to hug it anymore. Yun Chujo did not know about Di Biming's fattening up plan. The taste of the meal was really too good. It was 100 times better than the food cooked in the big kitchen. In the end, when she could not eat anymore, she reluctantly put down her chopsticks. At that moment she was thinking, "Sigh, it would be great if I could use the storage bag publicly. Then I could save these leftovers for tomorrow's meal." Di Biming saw that Yun Chujo had finished eating. He waved his hand and the leftovers on the table disappeared. Then there was an exquisite small teapot and 2 small teacups on the table. "Prince Charming, how did you know that I was thirsty? You're so considerate. You're the most generous person that I've ever met." Yoon Chujo had food and drink, and her small mouth was full of compliments. Dee Biming barely managed to control the corner of his mouth that kept rising. He nodded lightly and began to savor the tea. Yoon Chujo was like a cow chewing on a peony. She tried the tea to see that it was not hot and drank it in one gulp. Then, she poured herself one cup after another. After pouring a few cups, Yoon Chujo's eyes lit up. Prince Charming, how can your teapot be so good at storing tea? After pouring so many cups, the flavor of the tea is still so robust. Dee Biming saw that Yoon Chujo's eyes were sparkling, and the little tail on the back of her head was trembling. His heart inexplicably felt weak. He smiled and said, "This is the heaven and earth teapot. It actually has a big space cloaked in this small item. A rich man. Indeed a rich man. Too rich." Yoon Chujo said enviously, "Prince Charming, you're really too rich. Not only do you have a storage ring, you even have a teapot that can store things. Sigh, unlike me. I have a low-level broken storage bag that I can't use publicly." Dee Biming raised his eyebrows. "Why can't you use it publicly? Prince Charming, didn't you tell me? I'm at level 3 of the spirit cultivator realm. I can't let anyone know that I can release my spiritual power. I remember everything you said. That's why I didn't dare to say that I can use my storage bag. So I left it with my fourth brother." Yoon Chujo seamlessly expressed her loyalty. As expected, when Dee Biming heard that Yoon Chujo was so obedient, his mood improved. He thought for a while, then took out a small ring from his storage ring and handed it to Yoon Chujo. "This ring is the same as my storage ring. It can be hidden according to the master's wishes. Drop your blood in to refine it." Before Dee Biming finished his sentence, Yoon Chujo snatched the ring away. She was no longer afraid of pain. She bit her middle finger with her little white teeth and dripped her blood on the ring. "Ha ha ha. You can really hide things in here. My Prince Charming, you're so cute. I love you so much." Yoon Chujo was jumping up and down in joy. Now she liked Dee Biming 100 times more. Dee Biming looked at Yoon Chujo's lively appearance. The corners of his mouth curled up and his eyes were full of love. "My Prince Charming, you're so good to me. I can't repay you. In the future, you can drink my blood as much as you want, as long as you don't drink me to death," Yoon Chujo said with a smile. When Dee Biming heard Yoon Chujo's words, he felt inexplicably uncomfortable in his heart. "Did you think I gave you something just to drink your blood?" Dee Biming's face sank immediately. "Get out. I want to cultivate." Chapter 150. Liars will be struck by lightning. Yoon Chujo was stunned for a moment before she left the house in a huff. Crazy. He really is crazy. A second ago it was still spring, but the next second it's ice and snow. To think that I thought you weren't bad. Turns out you're still crazy. The more Yoon Chujo thought about it, the angrier she got. She simply squatted on the ground and used a tree branch to write and draw. Little Black saw that Dee Biming did not come out, so it flew down from the tree and landed beside Yoon Chujo. When it saw the things on the ground, its small eyes blinked. "Master, your resentment is so deep." Yoon Chujo drew a small person on the ground and poked it with a tree branch. As she poked, she cursed softly, "Gigolo. Bastard. Gigolo. You don't know how to appreciate a good person. Gigolo. You're crazy. Gigolo. I'll stab you to death." And Fong and An hid at the side and looked at each other. Neither of them dared to come out. It seemed that the ninth miss was very angry. They did not know what His Majesty was trying to do. Since he liked her, why did he always make her angry? After poking a few deep pits on the ground, Yoon Chujo's mood improved a little. She decided not to lower herself to the level of a gigolo. Besides, being angry was to punish herself with other people's mistakes. She was not that stupid. Yoon Chujo accidentally caught a glimpse of the spirit fruit core that was thrown away in the morning. Her heart skipped a beat. The taste of the fruit was too good. The gigolo might not give it to her again in the future. She might as well plant this fruit core, in case it could grow into a fruit tree. Then would she not always have a fruit to eat? Ha! She was really too smart. Yoon Chujo did what she said. She found a sunny place, took a small stick and made a small hole, burying the fruit core inside. "Miss Jo, that's a Hundun fruit. The conditions for its growth are very harsh. Our venerable one searched for a long time before he found one. Even if you plant it, it won't sprout. And Feng saw that Yun Chujia's anger was almost gone, so he dared to come over and talk to her. How would you know if you don't try? Maybe this fruit core thinks my place is good. Besides, I'm just digging a pit and watering it. It doesn't add anything. If it really grows out, that would be even better. Yun Chujio said indifferently. Yun Chujio and Feng chatted casually. Di Biming was so angry that he gritted his teeth. After Di Biming chased Yun Chujio out, he was inexplicably annoyed. There was no way for him to cultivate. Now, seeing Yun Chujio and Feng chatting and laughing, he was so angry that he wanted to hit his head against the wall. Feng, are you very free? Di Biming pushed the door open and stared at Feng gloomily. Feng shivered and instantly understood that he was in trouble. He quickly said, Your Excellency, I remember now. I still have many things to do. I'll take my leave. Feng quickly disappeared from Di Biming and Yun Chujia's sight. What a joke. If he did not leave now, His Excellency would definitely throw him to the 1,000 feet deep abyss. Di Biming walked to the place where Yun Chujio drew the villain. Black thing, who are you drawing? It's you, it's you, it's you. However, Yun Chujio only dared to think that in her heart, but she said, It's the manager of our kitchen. He's the worst. He'll seek revenge for the smallest grievance. Sooner or later, I'll teach him a good lesson. Di Biming felt that there was something wrong with Yun Chujio's words. He felt like she was pointing at a mulberry tree and cursing a locust tree. He stared at Yun Chujio without blinking. Yun Chujio was a little scared by his stare and she cursed in her heart. Why was he staring at me like a dead fish? Di Biming snorted, Black thing, if I find out that you lied to me, I will not forgive you. Prince Charming, I will not lie to you. If one lies, one will be struck by lightning. The villain in Yun Chujio's heart was flipping her middle finger. Gigolo, I lied to you. You're the one who started it. With a crack, a purple lightning bolt fell from the sky and struck Yun Chujio. Chapter 151. The small flame was suppressed once again. Yun Chujio was completely dumbfounded. She just said it casually. Why did this damn little mudfish match her with such an apt punishment? This damn little purple mudfish did not come earlier or later, but it just had to strike her at this time, so it must be on purpose. It was really detestable. This purple lightning bolt was only as thick as a pinky finger, so Yun Chujio absorbed it without any pressure, then laughed dryly at Di Biming. Coincidence? This is completely a coincidence. Di Biming snorted and glared at Yun Chujio. Then he turned around and entered the house. Yun Chujio pointed her middle finger at the small piece of dark cloud in the sky. Little mudfish, you want to fight with me? If you have the ability, then continue to attack me. The dark cloud rumbled. Yun Chujio thought that it would continue to strike her. She did not expect the dark cloud to disappear in a flash. Yun Chujio pouted. So you're a coward. You have no courage at all, and you are far inferior to me. A person must have courage and courage to live. Black thing, get in here. Yep, coming. Well, there was a time, place, and situation to show valor and courage. Yun Chujio sneaked into the house and saw Di Biming sitting on a chair, with a brush, ink, paper and inkstone on the table. Yun Chujio immediately had a bad feeling. Come here. I have nothing to do. From today on, I'll teach you calligraphy. I'll make you lose your temper. Di Biming thought of Yun Chujio's dog-like handwriting and came up with this idea. Yun Chujio grinned. Prince Charming, I don't want this, alright? I've been working the whole day and I'm exhausted. I can't even lift my arms. How will I have the strength to practice calligraphy? Di Biming sneered, then picked up the brush and wrote 3 words. This is my name. Don't sleep until you finish writing it 30 times. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes. Since she was asked to write it, then she would just write it absent-mindedly. If you don't write it seriously, then double it. If you don't, then continue to double it. Di Biming saw through Yun Chujio's thoughts at a glance and said coldly. Yun Chujio had no choice but to start writing with a bitter face. As she wrote, she muttered, There are so many names out there, but he has to have the main character. It's so hard to write that character. My name is better. It's simple and easy to remember. What do you know? There's a fish in the northern sea. Its name is Kuan. My name has an illusion. Humph. What kind of stupid illusion is that? Doesn't it mean fish? Might as well call yourself Emperor Northern Fish. Black thing. Shut up. I'll shut up then. No wonder he kept staring at her with dead fish eyes. It turned out he was a stinky fish. After writing for almost 4 hours, Yun Chujo felt that her wrist was about to break. Di Biming snorted. Let's call it a day. We'll continue tomorrow night. Yun Chujo angrily began to wash up. Then she took off her coat and lay down in the middle of the bed. Her hands and feet were spread open. It was obvious that she did not want Di Biming to sleep on the bed. After Di Biming washed up, he saw Yun Chujo occupying the entire bed. He could not help but frown. Move deeper in the bed. This is my bed. Yun Chujia's little flame of resistance burned again. Di Biming snorted. Black thing, I'll count to 3. If you don't move, I'll let you sleep on the floor tonight. 1, 2, 3. Prince Charming, I'm afraid of this bed. Now that it's warm, come up. Yun Chujo obediently rolled to the side of the bed. The little flame was once again mercilessly suppressed. Chapter 152. What's mine is yours. Yun Chujia's heart was filled with tears. As expected, whoever played the strongest fist would have their way. Gigolo, just you wait. When I become stronger, I'll sleep on the bed and let you kneel on the ground and sing me a lullaby. Di Biming's lips curled up. He took off his coat and lay on the outer corner of the bed. Yun Chujia's eyes rolled around and she had another idea. Prince Charming, as the saying goes, men and women should not be intimate. It's not good for us to sleep on the same bed, right? Well, what you said makes sense. In that case, you can sleep on the ground. Ah ha ha ha, I'm joking. I'm still young, so I can't be considered a woman. There's no need to avoid suspicion. Di Biming raised his eyebrows. Have you forgotten? There's another saying that men and women have different seats at the age of 7. So for your reputation, you'd better sleep on the ground. Why do I need to sleep on the ground and not you? Yun Chujo shouted very loudly in the first half of her sentence. The second half of her sentence became quieter and quieter under Di Biming's gaze, like the chirping of a mosquito. Di Biming retracted his gaze and said lightly, because it's your reputation that's bad, not mine. Humph. This is my bed. Yun Chujo deliberately emphasized the word my. Oh, since you want to be calculative, then return the ring that I gave you to me. As well as the cultivation technique, the spirit fruit, the food, and Prince Charming. I'm just joking. Isn't mine yours? It's getting late, let's go to bed early. Ah, I'm so sleepy, I'm falling asleep. Yun Chujo closed her eyes and covered her head with the quilt, pretending to snore. Di Biming watched Yun Chujo shrink into the quilt like a little quail and could not help but laugh. He waved his hand and extinguished the candle. Yun Chujo saw that Di Biming had stopped talking, so she secretly stuck her head out. Damn, that was close. If she were to lose a storage ring because of a bed, it would be a huge loss. If they slept together, so be it. It was not like they had never slept together before. Although the gigolo was despicable, he did not look like a pervert. Moreover, she looked so dry. He probably would not be able to bring himself to bite her. After Yun Chujo comforted herself, she fell asleep very quickly. On the other hand, Di Biming could not fall asleep no matter how hard he tried. Hence, he turned his body to look at Yun Chujia's sweet sleeping face in a daze. Huh. The black thing seemed to be much fairer than when he first saw it. Actually, the black thing was not that ugly. Her facial features were quite exquisite. If she was fairer, it would still be acceptable. Di Biming looked at it and could not help but reach out to touch Yun Chujia's face. It was quite smooth. Yun Chujo felt something on her face in her sleep. She lifted her arm and pushed it. Then she turned around and fell asleep. Di Biming's face turned hot and he retracted his hand. Humph. Black thing, do you think that this venerable self is willing to touch you? I'm just curious. Yes, just curious. Di Biming turned around and faced Yun Chujia's back. He thought about it for a while before falling asleep. However, when they fell asleep, both of them turned around at the same time. Yun Chujia's head was in Di Biming's arms and she slept soundly. The next morning, Yun Chujo opened her eyes again under Elder Huang's loud voice. Yun Chujo carefully moved Di Biming's hand away from her waist. She stretched and got off the bed. After washing up, she hopped off to work. After Yun Chujo left, Di Biming suddenly sat up. Why would I dream of that black thing? And dream about? How is this possible? It must be because my true self had been injured recently and was not at ease. Yes, that must be the case. Chapter 153. Wicked thief Yun Chujo did not know of Di Biming's dilemma. He was thinking about little Jiu. Now that she had a storage ring, she would definitely plunder more good things and put them in the ring. Thus, the big kitchen suffered. That's strange. I just steamed 20 baskets of dumplings. Why are there 2 baskets missing? Why are there 3 pots missing from the steamed dumplings? There were 20 pots of stewed beef. Why are there only 16 pots left? Yun Chujo saw that things seemed to be getting out of hand, so she finally stopped. She followed the crowd and scolded the wicked thief for stealing the food. Elder Huang searched for a long time but still could not find the reason, so he could only let it go. Perhaps everyone remembered it wrongly. Yun Chujo, go and send this storage bag to the alchemy room. Inside is the food senior brother Zhangji asked for. You must hand it to him personally. Manager Ding handed a storage bag to Yun Chujo. Bei Yuan happened to be at the side, so he said when he saw this, Manager Ding, little Joe doesn't have the spiritual power, so she walks too slow. It's better for me to go. Manager Ding's face darkened. Bei Yuan, why can't I even order a new handyman to do some tasks? Besides, senior brother Zhangji isn't in a hurry. As long as it arrives today, it's fine. Yun Chujo quickly said, it's fine. I'll go. I haven't been to the alchemy room yet, so I'll just take it as getting to know the area. Bei Yuan had no choice but to call Yun Chujo to the side and whispered, the alchemy room is different from other places. Even the elders aren't willing to offend the people there. You must be careful. Yun Chujo nodded and left the big kitchen. Manager Ding looked at Yun Chujo's back and a trace of sternness flashed through his eyes. Stinky girl, you're dead meat this time. Yun Chujo was clever. She naturally guessed that Manager Ding had bad intentions. However, there was no reason to take precautions. She wanted to see what kind of great gift he had prepared for her. Yun Chujo thought about it and did not let Little Black follow her. If they accused Little Black of stealing the pills, she would not be able to justify it. Yun Chujo held her storage bag and hopped to the alchemy room. Pills were extremely important to a sect, so the alchemy room was located near the top of Middle Peak. The spiritual energy there was very rich, and it was also beneficial to the alchemist's cultivation. Along the way, she met many disciples. As most of them had been to the cafeteria, Yun Chujo greeted them as if they were friends. Ah, senior brother, you're even more handsome than a few days ago. Senior sister, I almost didn't recognize you after not seeing you for a few days. You've become more beautiful again. Senior sister, this acupink dress you're wearing really suits your skin color. You're like a fairy. Everyone liked to hear good things. When they saw how well Yun Chujo spoke, they naturally replied as well. Yun Chujo said that she had been sent by Manager Ding to the pill refining room to deliver something to senior brother Zhangji. Yun Chujo noticed that there were a few people who heard her and their eyes flickered. When Yun Chujo saw this, she became curious and intentionally or otherwise, started conversing even more. Little girl, let me tell you. I accidentally found out that senior brother Zhangji is related to Lu Qingzhen, who was expelled from the sect a few days ago. Yeah, I also heard that senior brother Zhangji is Lu Qingzhen's cousin. You should be careful. Senior brother Zhangji is highly regarded by Elder Qi of the pill refining room. He is about to be accepted as a personal disciple. He is currently in the limelight. You must not offend him. After Yun Chujo thanked everyone, she was on her way up the mountain again. She would not offend anyone if they did not offend her. It was fine if Zhangji did not offend her. However, if he was up to no good, regardless of whether he was a personal disciple or not, she had to get rid of him. Chapter 154. Strange thoughts. After walking for more than 2 hours, Yun Chujo finally saw the pill refining room. Before she even got close to the pill refining room, two servants shouted, "Stop! This is an important place for pill refining. No one is allowed to enter." Yun Chujo said with a smile, "Thank you for your hard work, senior brothers. I'm from the big kitchen. Manager Ding of the Ding Army asked me to deliver food to senior brother Zhang Ji." One of the servants looked at Yun Chujo and said, "Are you Yun Chujo? You look exactly like the rumors. Go in and come back quickly." Yun Chujo thanked him and asked about the alchemy room where Zhang Ji was. Then she headed to the alchemy room. As soon as she entered the alchemy room, she smelled the rich aroma of pills. Yun Chujo had always had a different way of thinking. The first thought that flashed through her mind at that moment was that the smell was similar to the taste of toffee. It was caramelized and fragrant. It had been a long time since she had eaten sugar. Yun Chujo came to the number 7 alchemy room where Zhang Ji was. She said respectfully at the door, "Senior brother Zhang, I'm from the big kitchen. Manager Ding asked me to bring you some food. Come in." A man's voice came from inside. Yun Chujo pushed the door open and a wave of hot air mixed with the medicinal aroma assaulted her face. A man was refining pills with his back facing her. Yun Chujo watched the man's movements with curiosity. The man kept forming seals and adding medicinal herbs into the furnace. The medicinal fragrance in the furnace became stronger and stronger. Finally, the man stopped and took out 6 pills from the furnace and placed them on a jade plate to cool down. Yun Chujo looked at the 6 pills on the jade plate and suddenly had the thought of swallowing all the pills into her stomach. The thought was so strong that Yun Chujo was in a daze. The man turned around and looked at Yun Chujo. "Did Manager Ding send you here?" The man saw that Yun Chujo was stunned and did not reply. A trace of pride flashed in his eyes, and he raised his voice and asked again. Yun Chujo finally came to her senses. She nodded and handed the storage bag forward. "Senior brother Zhang, Manager Ding asked me to give this to you." Zhang Ji took the storage bag and opened it to take a look. He then turned around to search on the shelf. He then took out a white porcelain bottle and handed it to Yun Chujo. "Bring this back to Manager Ding." Yun Chujo nodded in agreement and turned around to leave. She then obediently closed the door and left the alchemy room. Zhang Ji could not help but sneer. Qingzhen was really a good-for-nothing. He had actually allowed such a dark girl to enter Spirit Radiance sect. However, that dark girl had already inhaled the intoxication for 3 days. In less than 3 days, she would definitely die silently in her sleep. If an unimportant handyman died, then so be it. No one would pay attention to it. He could be considered to have avenged Qingzhen. As for the other 6, there were plenty of opportunities to take care of them. Why was one of the spirit gathering pills that he had just refined missing? The black girl had stolen it? No way. She did not have any spiritual power, so it was impossible for her to do anything right under his nose. Perhaps he had remembered wrongly? He refined 5 pills just now? Yun Chujo walked out of the pill refining room, feeling a little puzzled. Strange. Zhang Ji did not make things difficult for her, nor did he frame her. However, that Zhang Ji's eyes were clearly filled with hatred for her, and there was even a hint of complacency. Could he have done something? An alchemist? Could it be that he had poisoned her? Yun Chujo recalled the fragrance she smelled when she pushed the door open. She thought to herself, "Oh no. I must have been tricked. What should I do?" Yun Chujo recalled the pill that she had accidentally stolen in the pill room. At that time, she did not know why she wanted to swallow those pills so badly. If not for her strong will, she might have swallowed those pills on the spot. Chapter 155. A blessing in disguise. As Yun Chujo thought of this, she turned to a small path nearby and took out the pill that she had stolen from her storage ring. Just as she was about to take a closer look, a huge suction force suddenly came from her mouth. The pill entered Yun Chujo's stomach with a whoosh. Yun Chujo was shocked. She coughed and used her fingers to pick at it. She even tried to stand on her head. Unfortunately, it was useless. The pill disappeared mysteriously. Yun Chujo wanted to cry, but she had no tears. Not only was she poisoned, but she also had a strange disease. She did not know what kind of pill she swallowed. If it was poison, she would definitely be finished. Yoon Chujio went back to the kitchen with her head dropped. She handed the porcelain bottle to Manager Ding. Then, she pretended to be sick with Elder Huang and went back to the dormitory with a sad face. Di Biming saw that Yoon Chujio had returned and asked in puzzlement, "Why are you back?" Yoon Chujio was not in the mood to please him at the moment. She said in a muffled voice, "This is my house. If I want to come back, I will come back." Di Biming was about to lose his temper, but he saw Yoon Chujio's small shoulders twitching. It was obvious that she was crying. He could not help but feel a little flustered. "I'm just asking you. I didn't say anything. Why are you crying?" When Yoon Chujio heard Di Biming's question, she immediately had a way to vent her emotions. She could not help but start to wail loudly, "Sob, I'm going to die. I still have many wishes that haven't been fulfilled. I'm going to die. I'm so miserable. Sob. Di Biming was shocked. When he saw Yoon Chujio crying her eyes out, it was obvious that she was really sad. "Black thing, what's going on? I'm here. You want die. Sob, I was poisoned and have strange disease. If I die, you can keep my blood and drink it in the future. You can keep it in a big pot or something." "Nonsense. Who poisoned you? They're simply courting death." Di Biming's eyebrows stood up. "I can't even bear to kill the black thing. Who is the one courting death?" Yoon Chujio used Di Biming's clothes to wipe away her tears and snot. She sobbed as she told him about the incident. Di Biming had long forgotten about the misophobia. He hurriedly grabbed Yoon Chujio's right wrist and stretched it out, then frowned. 3 days of drunkenness? What kind of poison is 3 days of drunkenness? Why does it sound like a wine name? And it's the kind of good old wine? Yoon Chujio's eyes lit up. 3 days of drunkenness is a kind of deadly poison. The person who inhales it will die silently in his sleep within 3 days. Di Biming almost fainted from anger. It was already so late and she was still thinking about eating and drinking. What? Then I only have 3 days to live? It must be that Zhangji who poisoned me. Damn it. I'll go and find him now. If he doesn't give me the antidote, I'll use lightning to strike him. Yoon Chujio was also frightened just now. Now that she had recovered from her shock, she immediately regained her domineering aura. Wait! Di Biming pressed on Yoon Chujio's wrist with a shocked expression. It was obvious that he had suffered a huge impact. Isn't it 3 days of drunkenness? Is it 1 day of drunkenness? Am I going to choke on my farts today? Then hurry up and let go of me. I have to find that bastard to get the antidote. Yoon Chujio was anxious. This girl cherished her life the most and hated Zhangji the most. Yes, your situation is a little special. Di Biming felt that Yoon Chujio was a freak. Why were all the things that happened to her so unbelievable? How is it special? Although you were intoxicated for 3 days, the intoxication of these 3 days disappeared quickly for some reason. It even turned into the power of lightning strangely. Di Biming felt that he was talking nonsense, however. This was something that really happened in Yoon Chujio's body. Chapter 156. Is all the grass fault? What? You mean to say that the so-called 3-day intoxication not only didn't kill me, but it's good for me? Yoon Chujio's eyes widened, obviously unable to accept it. From your pulse it seems so. Look inside your dantian. Yoon Chujio immediately sat cross-legged on the bed and began to look inwardly. Then she cried. The little grass in her dantian was holding a medicinal pill with 2 leaves and munching on it. Damn it! Whose dantian could grow grass? Who had ever seen grass with a mouth? Sun sob. It was her. It was her. That grass might have noticed Yoon Chujio's peeping and even shook itself proudly. Yoon Chujio also noticed that there were threads of black gas in her meridians that were rapidly gathering toward her dantian before finally being eaten by the grass. As for the power of lightning, it was slowly released by the grass. It was as if the amount of black gas and medicinal pills that were eaten would release the corresponding power of lightning. What the hell was this thing? Yoon Chujio felt a wave of dizziness. She had no choice but to withdraw her spiritual sense. Then she sat on the bed in a daze. How is it? Did you see it? What happened? Di Biming asked anxiously. There's grass growing in my dantian. Wait, what did you say? You said there's grass growing in your dantian? Di Biming felt that there was something wrong with his ears. Yun Chujo nodded and said with a sad face, "That damn grass used to swallow lightning and now it's swallowing pills." Yun Chujo told Di Biming everything. She did not know why she did not hide anything from Di Biming. Di Biming was stunned. There was grass growing in her dantian? That grass could swallow lightning? Could swallow pills? It could absorb poison? Could even release the power of lightning? This was unheard of. It was too unbelievable. Yun Chujo saw that Di Biming did not speak, so she panicked. Am I really in a hopeless situation? Am I going to become the grass nourishment? I never thought that I, Yun Chujo, would die at the hands of grass. I can't die in peace. Di Biming frowned. He paced back and forth in the room. Black thing, you don't have to worry too much. Even if that grass is harmful to you, it won't do anything to you for the time being. It should treat you as a host and won't do anything to you until it's fully grown. There must be a way to get rid of it. Yun Chujo pouted. Well, it is what it is. However, even if I can't deal with that grass, I can still deal with that Zhangji. I won't forgive him. He actually wants to poison me, so we'll have to kill him sooner or later. Di Biming's eyes deepened and he did not speak. The next morning, there was an explosion at Spirit Radiance sect. Did you hear? Zhangji from the alchemy room had his tendons and hamstrings cut off by someone. Not only that, I heard that his tongue was also cut off. I also heard that his cultivation was crippled. This is worse than death. Who did this? This person's cultivation must be very high. I heard that Elder Qi was so angry that he will do an extremely thorough investigation. This person is simply too audacious. Could it be a spy from another sect? It doesn't make sense. What's the purpose of a spy doing this? Zhangji is just an inner sect disciple. Then it should be a vendetta. Who would have such a huge grudge against Zhangji? Yun Chujo blinked her eyes. Could it be that this was done by a gigolo? Chapter 157. I love you to death. Zhangji's tongue had been cut off so he could not speak, and his tendons, and he was unable to write since his tendons were cut off. Therefore, Elder Qi had no choice but to call the relevant people over to interrogate them. Naturally, Yun Chujo was also called over. Yun Chujo had always been good at acting. She swaggered over, and when she was questioned, her answers were naturally airtight. Elder Qi felt that a little girl without spiritual power was indeed unable to do such a thing. After asking a few questions, he let Yun Chujo go back. After finishing the work at night, Yun Chujo went back to the courtyard. Prince Charming, you were the one who helped me clean up that Zhangji, right? Yun Chujo asked Di Biming with her starry eyes. Di Biming was very proud in his heart, but he pretended to not care. I just don't like him. It has nothing to do with you. Prince Charming, I know you're venting your anger for me. You're such a good person. I love you so much. Yun Chujo was so excited that she stood on her tiptoes and kissed Di Biming on the cheek. Di Biming's entire body seemed to be frozen. There was a loud bang in his head, like fireworks blooming in the sky. The soft touch seemed to be transmitted to his heart. Yun Chujo jumped for a while and frowned. Prince Charming, that Elder Qi is currently investigating this. He won't pin it on me, right? Di Biming finally came back to his senses and raised his eyebrows. Clearly, he felt that Yun Chujo's question was a little unnecessary. Yun Chujo had gotten her revenge, so she naturally would not bother Di Biming about this. Her words of flattery kept jumping out. Di Biming enjoyed it very much. When he was in a good mood, he took out some spirit fruits and pastries from his storage ring and gave them to Yun Chujo. When Yun Chujo saw the delicious food, she became even more obsequious. She almost wagged her tail. Di Biming felt extremely refreshed and sweet. This feeling was even more wonderful than when his spiritual power had risen a level. I heard from the black thing that there was a manager ding in the kitchen. Maybe an Een should also take care of him? Di Biming thought of this and asked Yun Chujo, Black thing, do you need me to help you take care of that manager ding? Yun Chujo thought for a moment. No, I'll do it myself. It'll be fun. Di Biming also felt that manager ding was too weak. It was good to let her practice. The next day, when Yun Chujo went to work, she noticed that manager Ding was looking at her with a probing gaze. When Yun Chujo looked over, he avoided her gaze. Yun Chujo jumped in front of him. Manager Ding, why are you always looking at me? Do you still want me to deliver something for you? Manager Ding did not know why, but he felt that Yun Chujo was implying something. He waved his hand awkwardly. No need. You do what you need to do. Oh, if you need anything, just let me know. I'm happy to run errands for you. Yun Chujo said with a smile. Seeing this, Manager Ding felt even more nervous. He gave a few perfunctory words and hurried out. The more Manager Ding thought about it, the more uneasy he felt. However, on second thought, Yun Chujo did not have any spiritual power at all. How could she be the one who did it? He must have been thinking too much. This damn brat, she must be kicking him while he was down. Humph. You don't have to be so smug. There's only one more day before the effects of the 3-day intoxication kick in. Your time to die is up. However, after a few days, Yun Chujo was still alive and kicking. There were no symptoms of poisoning at all. Could it be that Zhang Ji failed to poison her back then? Yes, that must be the case. Yun Chujo could not have gotten the antidote for the 3-day intoxication. Even so, Manager Ding still felt a little uneasy. He felt that things would not be so simple. Chapter 158. I'm sick. Manager Ding was suspicious and restrained his actions. He did not look for Yun Chujo and the others. Yun Chujo was not in a hurry to make a move, and was prepared to find a suitable time to strike. That night, Yun Chujo had just returned to the dormitory when Di Biming said to her, Black Thing, I need to go back. First, I need to take care of some things. Then, I need to find someone to ask about the condition of the grass in your body. After Di Biming finished speaking, he looked at Yun Chujo with anticipation. He did not expect Yun Chujo to indifferently reply, Okay, go. Go. I'm exhausted. I need to lie down for a while. His poor Excellency had played the scene several times. For example, she was reluctant to part with him, or she was crying and hugging him and was reluctant to let him go. Or yes, Black Thing gave him a kiss. In an instant, the beautiful scenes popped. Di Biming could only sigh in his heart. It was so stifling that he could not breathe. Di Biming was furious. He smashed the new table with one palm and the things on it shattered all over the floor. A stack of rice paper written by Yun Chujo turned into paper scraps. Yun Chujo was shocked. What are you doing? Di Biming looked at Yun Chujo and gritted his teeth. I'm sick. What? Yun Chujo was dumbfounded. Did this gigolo take the wrong medicine? Di Biming saw that Yun Chujo was still in a daze and did not react. He was so angry that he flung his sleeves and left just like that. This Black Thing was really heartless. She did not even have the slightest intention of missing him. And Ian could feel that the temperature in the surroundings had dropped by a few degrees. He sighed in his heart. It was over. The days that followed would be filled with suffering. He did not know how Miss Jo had offended His Excellency that he became so angry. On the other hand, Yun Chujo was calm and collected. She shrugged her shoulders. This gigolo had not had a crazy fit for a long time. It seemed that it was that time of the month again. Yun Chujo rolled a few times on the bed. It was great that the gigolo had left. She could finally monopolize the bed. However, Yun Chujo could not fall asleep even after tossing and turning until midnight. She mumbled, That's weird. Why isn't anyone fighting with me for territory? I'm not used to it. 1 gigolo, 2 gigolos, 3 gigolos. The next day, Yun Chujo went to the kitchen with 2 big dark circles under her eyes. Little Jo didn't sleep well yesterday? Are you feeling unwell? Yun Chuo asked with concern when she saw Yun Chujo looking listless. Yun Chujo giggled. No, I just had too much fun with Little Black, that's why I slept late. Little Black stared at her with its puzzized eyes with grievance on its face. This young master would not admit it. Yun Chuo asked a few more questions. Seeing that there was nothing unusual, she went to work. After breakfast, Elder Huang called Yun Chujo and the others over. Today is the day of the elders' lecture. The 7 of you should go with Ho Tian. Yun Chujo blinked her eyes. Elder Huang, let the other senior brothers go. We've just arrived. There will be plenty of opportunities in the future. Elder Huang smiled and said, You little girl, you really know how to cause trouble. You guys go ahead. Next time let someone else go. Seeing that Elder Huang had instructed so, Yun Chujiu did not refuse. She followed Ho Tian and Yun Chuzi and rushed to Zhang Peak's lecture square. 2 hours later, the few of them arrived at the lecture square. Zhang Peak's lecture square was the same square that Yun Chujiu and the others had been teleported to after passing the test. At that time there were already many people gathered. Some were sitting on the ground while others were chatting softly. There was a particular order to the seating. The inner disciples sat at the front followed by the outer disciples. The odd job workers could only sit at the back. Yun Chujiu and the others found a corner and sat down. Chapter 159. How sleepy was she? Yun Chujiu was afraid that others would suspect her, so she did not dare to use the hair growth pill. Hence, her hair was only an inch long and was particularly eye-catching in the crowd. Yun Chujiu was quite famous in the Spirit Radiance sect as of then. When they saw her going over, many people's gazes gathered over. Yun Chujiu did not mind, and she even nodded at everyone with a smile. The crowd had obviously never seen such a friendly and thick-skinned person. It was hard for them to ridicule her. It's so uncomfortable to hold it in, isn't it? At that moment, a female disciple exclaimed in a low voice, "Senior brother Fengming is here." Ah, it's really senior brother Fengming. He's walking toward us. Quick, check if my hairpin is crooked. Darn it, if I had known that senior brother Fengming would come back, I would have worn that pink brocade shirt. Fengming turned a blind eye to those fiery gazes. He walked toward Yun Chujiu and waved his hand elegantly. "Junior sister little Jiu. Let's go, I'll bring you to sit in the front. You can hear better from the front." Yun Chujiu was never a person who was afraid of trouble. She immediately jumped up and followed Fengming to the front. As a result, she received a basket of eyes filled with jealousy and envy. There were no hard and fast rules regarding the seating order. It was just a convention. Therefore, when Yun Chujiu sat down, no one came to chase her away or anything like that. The inner sect disciples thought highly of themselves. When they saw Yun Chujiu walking over, they all had disdainful looks. Especially the few female disciples whose gazes were even more unfriendly. Yun Chujiu secretly cursed in her heart. She did not expect senior brother so-called bird to have such good luck in love. How thick-skinned. A servant actually came to our inner sect disciples area. That's right. She's also a trash without spiritual power. What can she understand? Today the one giving us the lecture is Elder Qi from Middle Peak. I heard that he's been in a very bad mood recently. Moreover, he loves to ask questions during the lecture. If he calls on Yun Chujiu, tell me. When Fengming heard this, he was shocked. He did not know that it was Elder Qi's lecture that day. Elder Qi did have a habit of picking disciples to answer questions during the lecture. If he could not answer, he would be reprimanded. "Junior sister little Jiu, why don't you go to the back? That Elder Qi is very serious," Fengming said in a low voice. Yun Chujiu waved her hand carelessly and said to Fengming in a low voice, "I've seen Elder Qi before. Other than not having good taste, everything else is fine. You don't have to worry. I'll just sit here. It's fine." Not having good taste? Where did that come from? Fengming shook his head. Seeing that Yun Chujiu was determined to do so, he did not say anything else. Actually, Yun Chujiu had discovered something interesting and was reluctant to go back. After a while, Elder Qi walked to the front with a gloomy face and sat down on the ground. Elder Qi's mood had been very bad the past few days. He had originally planned to take Zhang Ji as his personal disciple, but who would have thought that a person who was fine the day before would become a cripple overnight? What was even more depressing was that after a few days, there were no clues about the murderer at all. What was even more depressing was that he even found poisons and a few letters in Zhang Ji's storage bag. They were all indicating sinister deeds. Elder Qi's mood was very complicated. He was angry, disappointed, and a trace relieved. If it was not for Zhang Ji's accident, he would really have accepted such a heartless student who would just cause endless trouble in the future. That day, Elder Qi was explaining the 100 volumes of medicinal herbs, which was the basic knowledge of medicinal herbs. After a while, Elder Qi swept his gaze over the crows. Most of the people were listening seriously. Only the tan lass sitting in the front row had her face almost pressed against the stone slab. How sleepy was she? Chapter 160. How did you do it? Elder Chi frowned. He still had some impression of Yun Chujio. Wasn't this the tan girl who was called in for questioning a few days ago? You. Answer the difference between the purple wisdom grass and the purple hawk grass. Elder Chi pointed at Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio did not move at all. She sat there watching attentively. Feng Ming poked Yun Chujio and Yun Chujio was shocked. Just as she was about to ask Feng Ming what was wrong, Elder Chi got angry. Stand up. Are you here to listen to my lecture or to sleep? Yun Chujio stood up and answered obediently. I'm here to listen to your lecture. Elder Chi became even angrier when he heard that. Since you're here to listen to my lecture, why is your head down? Yun Chujio was at a loss. Can't you keep your head down while listening to the lecture? Does one have to stare at you while listening to the lecture? This was the first time Elder Chi had met a student who dared to talk back to him. He was already holding his anger in his heart, but this time he exploded. You. Good. Then tell me what's the difference between purple wisdom grass and purple hawk grass? The people below began to discuss quietly. It's over. Yun Chujio has completely offended Elder Chi. That's right, she actually dared to go against Elder Chi. How audacious. I told you that Yun Chujio would do this to herself. Why did she sit in the front row for no reason? She's asking for it. Damn it. Let her be smug. Does she think that senior brother Feng Ming likes her? Senior brother Feng Ming must be trying to put her in her place. Yun Chuzi and the others were extremely worried. They stretched their necks and looked forward. Yun Chujio definitely could not answer. They hoped that Elder Chi would not punish Yun Chujio too harshly. Elder Chi saw that Yun Chujio did not speak and said coldly, "Humph. You can't answer me, right? Young people make mistakes but don't like to admit it. If you're doing this, although there's only one word difference between the purple wisdom grass and the purple hawk grass, the purple wisdom grass is in the middle grade of the black category, while the purple hawk grass is of a low grade from the yellow category. The difference between the two is very small. The purple wisdom grass has a thin red thread on the leaf veins, but the purple hawk grass does not. Elder Chi, am I right?" Yun Chujio tilted her head and looked at Elder Chi mischievously. Elder Chi choked back his words and his face turned red. "Humph. You must have previously known the difference between the two. I'll test you again." Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. "As long as it's the content that you've talked about today. I didn't have the chance to learn the knowledge of herbs before." "Humph. Of course, I'm asking about the content I taught you today. Tell me about the growth habits of the seven-leaf reed." Elder Chi thought that the seven-leaf reed was an uncommon spiritual herb, so he did not believe that this little girl had heard of it before. The seven-leaf reed mostly grows on the shores of hot springs that are rich in spiritual energy. The stalks stand upright and are more than 5 feet tall. The roots, stems, and leaves have ventilation tissue, which has the effect of stopping bleeding and detoxifying poison. "Elder Chi, am I correct?" Yun Chujio said with a smile. Elder Chi clenched his teeth in anger. "Sit down. Some disciples shouldn't be complacent just because they know something. If their attitude in class isn't right, they should not attend my classes in the future." Yun Chujio acted as if she did not hear him. After sitting down, she still lowered her head and looked at a green stone slab as if there were flowers on it. Elder Chi was so angry that his beard curled up. However, he did not have any other good ideas. He could only ask Yun Chujio to get up and answer questions every once in a while. However, Yun Chujio could answer them quickly and accurately each time. For hours later, Elder Chi glared at Yun Chujio and left in a huff. "Junior sister little Jiao. You're simply too awesome. How did you do it?" Feng Ming asked curiously. Chapter 161. Had a big secret. Yun Chujio was staring at the green stone slab in a daze. She said carelessly, "Didn't he already said it once? I'm just repeating it." Feng Ming was stunned at first, then he cried out in surprise, "What? What did you say? Everyone's eyes were focused on Feng Ming. He instantly returned to his usual cold and aloof state, as if the scream just now was an illusion. At that time, Yun Chuzi and the others walked over and beckoned Yun Chujo back to the kitchen. She finally shifted her gaze away from the green stone slab and said to Ho Tian, "Manager Ho, please help me ask for half a day's leave from Elder Huang." Feng Ming also chimed in, "Yes, just say that I have a favor to ask of ninth junior sister." Ho Tian smiled and agreed, then left with Yun Chuzi and the others. "Junior sister Jiao, you can really remember everything you've heard? Also, what's so great about this broken green stone slab?" Feng Ming was extremely curious. Yun Chujo waved her hand at him and ignored him. She continued to focus her attention on the green stone slab. Feng Ming rubbed his nose in boredom and also lowered his head to look at the green stone slab. However, other than a bunch of meaningless patterns, he really could not see anything else. Feng Ming looked at it for a while and felt dizzy. He shook his head and sat at the side to meditate. The onlookers could not help but discuss among themselves when they saw Yun Chujo frowning and raising the corners of her mouth at times. Is Yun Chujo crazy? What is she doing? I don't know. She has always looked abnormal. How can a girl's hair be that short? A good-for-nothing without spiritual power naturally thinks differently from us. Maybe she thinks those patterns are beautiful. TSK. Those questions just now. How did that good-for-nothing answer all of them correctly? TSK. What's so strange about that? Isn't senior brother Feng Ming sitting next to her? It must be senior brother Feng Ming who helped her. What you said makes sense. Feng Ming curled his lips. What the hell was he helping? Not only did he not know the answers, even if he did, he would not dare to do anything under Elder Chi's watch. 2 hours passed. 4 hours passed. The number of people in the square decreased, but Yun Chujo still had her head down, although she had stared at a few different green stone slabs. Another 4 hours passed, and the sky gradually darkened. Yun Chujo was completely unaware. She continued to stare at the patterns on the stones under the moonlight. Feng Ming ended his meditation and saw that Yun Chujo was still staring at it. He asked worriedly, "Junior sister little Jiao, are you okay?" Yun Chujo waved her hand and continued staring as if she was possessed. Seeing this, Feng Ming had no choice but to take out a few buns from his storage bag and pass them to Yun Chujo. Yun Chujo could not resist eating as she stared at the green stone slab while eating the steamed buns. "Junior sister little Jiao, it's getting late. I'll send you back first. If you're interested in the patterns on these, come back tomorrow." Yun Chujo finally raised her head and said sincerely to Feng Ming, "Senior brother Feng Ming, do me a favor and help me apply for another day off. I want to study these patterns properly." "Junior sister little Jiao, are these patterns special?" Feng Jiao asked curiously. Although he had not known Yun Chujo for very long, he felt that this little girl was always able to do some unexpected things. There should be a big secret behind this. But I've only discovered a little clue. I need time to continue to study it and cannot stop, or else my train of thought will be cut off. Yun Chujo knew that she had to get Feng Ming's support, so she explained patiently. Chapter 162. There are treasures. A big secret? Feng Ming was suddenly energized. He patted his chest and said, "No problem. Leave it to me." "Thank you, senior brother Feng Ming," Yun Chujo said with a smile. "Okay. Then I'll go and tell Elder Huang now." Feng Ming turned around and was about to leave. "Wait. Senior brother Feng Ming, you have to stay here and protect me. Write a note and get Little Black to send it." Yun Chujo pointed at the little black bird that was struggling to eat the steamed bun. Feng Ming said suspiciously, "Can it do it? This is just a young fire-breathing crow, right? It hasn't fully developed its intelligence yet. Would it be able to do its task well?" Little Black was immediately unhappy. Its bean-like eyes looked at Feng Ming with disdain. "Humph. This young master didn't even shun you for using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. You actually dare to doubt me? Isn't it just sending a letter? This young master can send a letter even with my eyes closed. Okay?" Feng Ming felt as if he was hallucinating. From the eyes of Little Black, He could actually see disdain and ridicule. How could a low-level fire-breathing crow have such a human-like expression? Yun Chuzhou urged Feng Ming to write a note for Elder Huang, as she wrote a note for Yun Chuzi before tying it to Little Black's claw. Little Black looked at Feng Ming with disdain, then flapped its short wings and flew away. After a while, the little black bird flapped its short wings and flew back to her. Feng Ming was amused. Junior sister Little Jiao, I told you that this little black bird is unreliable, right? Look, it definitely couldn't find its way back, so it flew back again. Little Black's pizzazed eyes revealed a mocking expression as it cried out twice. Yun Chuzhou untied the note from the little black bird's leg. As expected, it was a reply from Old Huang and Yun Chuzi. I really did it? And it's so fast? Is it really just a young fire-breathing crow? Feng Ming was in disbelief. Yes, it's a battle crow among fire-breathing crows. Yun Chuzhou said lightly and continued to study the patterns on the stone. Feng Ming and Little Black were dumbfounded. What the hell was a battle crow? Yun Chuzhou did not have the time to bother with these two. She began to study the patterns on the green stone slab. It seemed that there was already a clue. Yun Chujia's speed of observation became faster and faster. Feng Ming's heart was like a cat scratching. What secret was hidden in the green stone slab? This square seemed to have existed for tens of thousands of years, and no one had noticed anything unusual. Could junior sister Little Jiao really have discovered something? The successive sect masters and elders had not discovered anything. Could it be that junior sister Little Jiao was even more powerful than them? Was that not too ridiculous? Junior sister Little Jiao did not even have spirit energy. Time passed bit by bit. It was unknown how the news had spread, but Master Xianyuan, the 5 peak masters, and some elders had all arrived at the square. Feng Ming was afraid that they would blame Yun Chuzhou, so he wanted to go forward and remind Yun Chuzhou to come over and greet them. Master Xianyuan waved his hand, indicating that he should not disturb Yun Chuzhou. Feng Ming's heart was in a mess. He did not know why things were getting out of hand. Was Master Xianyuan, the 5 peak masters, and the elders idle because there was nothing to fear for? What are they doing here in the middle of the night? Moreover, Master Xianyuan and the other peak masters were very excited. What was going on? Yun Chuzhou seemed to have been immersed in some mysterious realm, completely unaware of the arrival of the Master Xianyuan and the others. Yun Chuzhou suddenly raised her head to look at the sky, then ran to the side of a green stone slab and shouted excitedly, Senior Brother Feng Ming. Quick! Quick! Pry open this green stone slab. There are treasures underneath. Chapter 163. A demonic barrier. Without waiting for Feng Ming to agree, Elder Chu leaped over. Where? Where? What treasure is under there? Let me dig. Only then did Yun Chuzhou realize that Master Xianyuan and the others were there. Yun Chuzhou glared angrily at Feng Ming. Fuck. I've been searching all night, and these people actually took advantage of me. I'm so wronged. Feng Ming rubbed his nose and thought to himself, each of these people is more powerful than the last. What would he dare to say? Elder Chu was already excitedly prying open the green stone slabs. These green stone slabs were all polished from 10,000-year-old southern jade, and each of them weighed more than 1,000 caddies. However, this was a piece of cake for Elder Chu. Hold on. The Southern Jade Square is the 10,000-year-old legacy of our Spirit Radiance sect. How can it be damaged just because of a little girl's nonsense? Xiao Pancher had always looked down on Yun Chuzhou. At this moment, his brows were tightly knitted together. Sect leader, Elder Xiao's words are not without reason. Yun Chuzhou is just an insignificant servant without any spiritual power, and she hasn't even entered the sect for a month. She really doesn't have much credibility. That's right. Over the past 10,000 years, our Spirit Radiance sect has produced many talents, but those heaven's favorites didn't discover anything. Could it be that a little girl like her could discover something? This is too ridiculous. That's right. We can't easily pry open this green stone slab. This is disrespectful to the ancestors of the past generations. Everyone was discussing animatedly. Most people felt that Yun Chuzhou was simply fooling around. Yun Chuzhou rolled her eyes. It would be better if they did not believe her. When the time came, she would quietly pry open the green stone slab and the treasures would all belong to her alone. Elder Chu had a temperamental personality. He rolled his eyes and said, "Don't make everything sound so serious. It's not like you won't close it after prying open it. What can you do about it? Besides, what's wrong with this Tan girl? She has been staring at the green stone slab for half a night. Who would be able to mess around like that for half a night? Sect Master, what do you think we should do? I don't think the girl is messing around. There must be something down there." Master Xianyuan pondered for a moment before saying, "Let's pry it open. The founders won't blame us. It's time for the secret of 10,000 years to see the light of day again." Elder Chu exerted some force, and the thick and heavy green stone slab was slowly pried open. 2 more elders came over and each held one side of the green stone slab. They lifted the green stone slab and gently placed it to the side. Everyone's gaze focused on the dark brown soil. The few elders began to dig, but they had already dug 6 feet deep and they still had no results. Everyone could not help but feel a little discouraged. Elder Shao and the others who opposed the idea revealed expressions of as expected. This was simply impossible. How could a little girl without spirit energy be more powerful than them? Was that not just a joke? Elder Chu was initially full of confidence, but as the hole was dug deeper and deeper, his heart began to beat faster. Could it be that the black girl was wrong? 6 feet, 9 feet, 10 feet. Even when it was 20 feet deep, there was still nothing. An elder curled his lips. "Sect Master, it's better to fill up the soil. There's simply nothing. This is a waste of time. Otherwise, when the sun rises, the disciples will take us as jokes." Master Xianyuan was also a little uncertain. Could it be that there really was nothing? Yun Chuzhou walked to the edge of the pit. She shouted toward the deep pit, "Hey, hurry up and get out. Otherwise, you can only play dead below. Don't you want to come out and see this colorful world? Don't you want to see all kinds of delicious food? Don't you want to see a magnificent beauty like me?" Everyone's face froze. Was Yun Chuzhou possessed? What was the use of shouting? Were there any living things down there? Chapter 164. Must be an immortal artifact. Junior sister Little Jiu. Could it be that the thing below is alive? Feng Ming's eyes lit up as he asked Yun Chuzhou. "I don't know either. However, I feel that even if a rolling pin is buried underground for 10,000 years, it should have gained sentience, right?" Yun Chuzhou said casually. Everyone originally had high hopes, but after hearing Yun Chuzhou's words, they were instantly discouraged. It turned out that she was just spouting nonsense. Nonsense. This is simply nonsense. Do you think that things can just give birth to intelligence? What's more, a rolling pin? Nonsense. I told you there won't be anything down there. Hurry up and fill up the soil. Although Yun Chuzhou has only entered the sect for a short period of time, she has caused a lot of trouble. She must be severely punished. Yun Chuzhou blinked her eyes. Severely punished her? Fuck. You still dare to say that? Did I drag you here? Or did I kidnap you? Don't you know what an uninvited guest is? You are. You really are shameless. Of course, these words were all secretly criticized by Yun Chuzhou. She did not have the courage to openly seek death. Just as everyone was discussing, the ground of the entire southern Jade Square began to tremble. A faint light could be seen from under the soil. Master Xianyuan was stunned for a moment before he shouted, "Set up the formation." The 5 peak masters were the first to react. They sat down cross-legged in various directions. 6 streaks of spiritual energy shot into the sky and a curtain of light enveloped the entire square. The 6 of them had set up a spirit radiant star formation. It could not only isolate the spiritual energy from leaking out, but it could also isolate the prying eyes of the outside world. Everyone was extremely excited. There really was a rare treasure. A treasure that had existed since 10,000 years ago, must be an immortal item. The appearance of such a rare treasure would definitely cause an earth-shattering phenomenon. If others were to target it, it would be too much of a loss. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the brown soil. Yun Chuzhou's heart was especially excited and conflicted. She was excited because her guess was right. There was indeed a treasure down there. She was conflicted because there were so many hungry wolves guarding there. Even if there was a treasure, she would not be able to reap the benefits. She was so upset, she wanted to vomit blood. The ground was trembling more and more violently. The light emitted from the ground was so bright that people could hardly open their eyes. An immortal item. It must be an immortal item. Everyone was so excited that they were slightly trembling. How great of a blessing it was to be able to see an immortal item appearing in the world. At the moment when the light was at its peak, a streak of black light shot out from underground and flew straight into the sky. Fortunately, Master Xianyuan and the others had already set up the spirit radiant star formation. After that streak of black light crashed into the curtain of light, its speed slowed down for a moment before it struggled to escape. Seeing that the situation was not good, Master Xianyuan hurriedly shouted, "Everyone, quickly lend a hand to the 6 of us." The elders, including Fengming, sat behind the 6 of them and transferred their spiritual power into the bodies of Master Xianyuan and the 5 peak masters with their arms. The spirit radiant star formation's curtain of light became more and more solid. After the black ray crashed into it a few times, it still could not escape. It could not help but dive down in a fluster, looking like it was going to kill someone. When the black ray rushed down, it realized that other than the people who set up the array, there was also a tan girl sitting on the green stone slab eating a bun. Beside her, there was an ugly bird pecking at the bun and eating it. It could not help but be a little dumbfounded. Actually, this matter was not bad. Yun Chuzhou was really heartless as she thought about it that way. The treasure did not belong to her, so why should she get involved? She still had 2 buns left from what Fengming had given her, so she ran to the side with Little Black to eat the buns. Chapter 165. This damn thing wants to kill me. The black ray felt that it had received a great insult. This human and this bird are looking down on me. Can't you see those idiots trying their best to trap me? Why are you still in the mood to eat buns? Are you that brave? In a fit of anger, the black ray headed toward Yun Chuzhou. Yun Chuzhou never expected that the dark ray would come toward her, and from the looks of it, it was going to kill her. Hence, she jumped up and out with a roar. Help! Help! It's trying to kill someone. This damn thing is going to kill me. Hurry up and save me. You were released by me. Yet you repay kindness with enmity. You shameless bastard, you actually want to kill me. Am a good for nothing without any spiritual power. Don't you think that it would be unfair to kill me? Yun Chuzhou shouted as she fled across the square. The dark ray chased after her relentlessly and seemed to have found some fun. It could have caught up to her in an instant, but it kept a distance that was neither too far nor too close to play with Yun Chuzhou. Master Xianyuan and the others were worried that Yun Chuzhou would be in trouble, but they were also afraid that the dark ray was luring the tiger away from the mountain. Once they withdrew their hands to save Yun Chuzhou, it would take the opportunity to break out of the spirit radiant star formation. Master Xianyuan frowned. Send 10 people to help Yun Chuzhou. Yun Chuzhou, who was running away with her head in her hands, could not help but feel a slight warmth in her heart. Although there were many dregs in the spirit radiant sect, Master Xianyuan was still not bad. When the dark ray saw that another 10 people had come to catch it, it did not care at all. It seemed to be even more excited. So everyone's faces stiffened as they watched the scene in front of them. The 10 elders jumped up and down to capture the ray. While the dark ray dodged, it continued to chase after Yun Chuzhou. After a full hour of commotion, Yun Chuzhou was furious. Fuck! You unspeakable thing. Don't you just want to kill me? Come and kill me. Even if I die, I won't spare you. I'll transform into a fierce ghost to pester you every day. Although Yun Chuzhou said so, all the spiritual power in her body was gathered in her right hand. Once the dark light really made a move, it would take the risk of revealing its secret to strike her. I don't believe that other than me and Little Black, there are still people who aren't afraid of being struck by lightning. The dark light clearly did not expect Yun Chuzhou to suddenly stop running and even dare to threaten it. It hovered in front of Yun Chuzhou, seemingly wavering. At that moment, the 10 elders gathered around. The black ray seemed to be a little restless and the light on its body dimmed a little. No one noticed that a white light that was as thin as a needle separated from the Black Ray's body and hid between Yoon Chujio's brows. Yoon Chujio was prepared to strike the Black Ray with lightning. Who would have thought that this thing could employ tricks? After the white light disappeared between Yoon Chujio's brows, the dark ray completely dissipated and fell onto the green stone slab with a thud. It turned out to be a pitch-black short stick that was about 1.5 feet long. Elder Chu was the first to jump over and pick up the stick. Haha. I never thought that I'd be able to see an immortal weapon in this lifetime. No, that's not right. Why doesn't this black stick have any spiritual energy? It looks more like a rolling pin. What's going on? Everyone was shocked and gathered around. Master Xianyuan took the stick from Elder Chu and examined it carefully. He realized that it was just an ordinary stick made of black iron. What was going on? Everyone looked at each other in confusion. This stick was shining brightly before. How did it become a dull mortal artifact? Chapter 166. Yoon Chujio. Everyone was dumbfounded. And only Yoon Chujio was feeling proud of herself. She deserved it. I said to take advantage of this easy to obtain and highly rewarding situation. Who knew it was so easy for me? Although they did not know what was hidden between her eyebrows, it was definitely not simple. In the end, they were still doing her a favor. This feeling of everyone losing and me winning alone was too satisfying, okay? Although this fellow was feeling proud in her heart, she had an expression of disbelief on her face. Just now this stick was still chasing after me. How did it suddenly become a rolling pin? The corners of everyone's eyes twitched. Needless to say, Yoon Chujio's words were quite appropriate. This stick was really not much different from a rolling pin. However, everyone felt that something was strange. Just a moment ago this stick was still awe-inspiring. How did it become a rolling pin in the next moment? Master Xianyuan looked at the sky. After all this trouble, the sun was starting to rise from the east. He frowned and said, "First, stick this stick with a confinement talisman and then put it into the spirit tool pavilion. We'll investigate when we have time." Master Xianyuan paused at this point and looked at Yoon Chujio. There was a conflicted expression on his face, as if there were some words that he could not say. Everyone was puzzled. What was wrong with the sect master? Fengming was shocked. Could it be that the sect master was going to blame junior sister little Jiu? Yoon Chujio's heart also sank. If the sect master really wanted to punish her, she would say that she was not the one who pried up the green stone slab, and that she was not the one who dug up the soil. What right did he have to punish her? Right. If he wanted to punish her, he would say so. Master Xianyuan pondered for a long time before finally continuing. When the successive leaders of the Spirit Radiance sect passed on the throne, they would pass on a verbal order from the founder of the Spirit Radiance sect, Patriarch Linghua. That is, if any of the Linghua disciples were to discover the secret of the Southern Jade Square, that person would be his successor disciple. After Master Xianyuan finished speaking, there was no reaction from the crowd for a long time. They understood every word that the sect leader said. However, they could not put two and two together. Suddenly, Fengming cried out in surprise, "Heavens! Sect leader, do you mean that junior sister little Jiu is now the personal disciple of our Spirit Radiance sect's founder, Patriarch Linghua?" Master Xianyuan smiled bitterly and nodded. Boom! The elders finally reacted. They could not believe their ears. Elder Chu counted with his fingers. "We are the 10th generation disciples of the Spirit Radiance sect." If the Tan girl is the personal disciple of the founder, then she is the second generation disciple. We can't even be considered as great-great-grandchildren. Sect master, are you kidding me? Xiao Pan's his old face turned red. He could not accept the fact that this Tan girl who did not have any spiritual power had suddenly become an elder with an extremely high seniority. Master Xianyuan smiled bitterly and nodded. For a moment he also wanted to hide this verbal order, but he decided against it. Patriarch Linghua must have had his reasons for doing so. Yoon Chujio's heart was practically bubbling with joy. What did it mean to become rich overnight? What did it mean to have a piece of pie falling from the sky? What did it mean to walk a dog, it defecating and having luck fall into your arms? Ha ha ha. Shi Yun Chujio was finally going to stand out and glorify her ancestors. All of you scums tremble. This fellow had long since selectively forgotten that it was not her who pried up the stone slab, and that it was not her who dug up the soil. The 10th generation sect master of the Spirit Radiance sect, Xianyuan Chongkong, greets Master Yun. Master Xianyuan respectfully bowed to Yun Chujio. When the others saw Master Xianyuan did that, although they were not convinced, they did not dare to be negligent. Greeting Master Yun. Cough cough. Yun Chujio coughed dryly. Everyone, children, please stand up. Chapter 167. As long as this little ancestor agrees, children. Children. The corners of everyone's mouths twitched, and the blue veins on the foreheads of some of the short-tempered elders bulged. This was simply absurd, too absurd. When they thought about how they would have to bow and greet the tan girl every time they saw her in the future, the elders were on the verge of breaking down. Sect Master. Although this is the verbal instruction of the founding ancestor, everything has to be flexible. Not only is Yun Chujio young and inexperienced, the most important thing is that she doesn't have any spirit energy at all. If the other sects were to know that our Spirit Radiance sect has such an ancestor, they would definitely laugh their heads off. That's right. Even if Yun Chujio's spiritual power isn't high, we can use pills and spiritual stones to increase her cultivation level. However, she can't cultivate at all. She's like mud that can't be supported by a wall. Sect leader, if it really doesn't work, we can give Yun Chujio some other compensation, such as inner sect disciples and spiritual stones. If there really is such a little ancestor, we won't be able to hold our heads up when we go out. Yun Chujio secretly pursed her lips. Did they think she was stupid? No matter how many spirit stones there were, how could they compare to the position of the grand retired emperor of the Spirit Radiance sect? She was definitely going to be the little ancestor. Little Xianyuan, since everyone is so unconvinced, then let's just forget about it. There's no need to give me any spirit stones as compensation. Let's just pretend that nothing happened. In any case, Master Linghua won't come to your dreams in the middle of the night to scold you, nor will he send down some heavenly punishment to punish unfilial disciples. It's really nothing. Yun Chujio said with her small hands behind her back. She did not care. Little Xianyuan? Master Zuanyuan's face stiffened. This title seemed to date back to when he was a child hundreds of years ago. This little girl was really a trickster. It was obvious that she was taking a step back in order to advance. Master Xianyuan was in a difficult position. He could not disobey Master Linghua's verbal order, but most of the elders present had a strong sense of resistance. If he got Yun Chujio to take the position of little ancestor, she probably would not be able to convince the public. What should he do? Sect Master, although we can't disobey the verbal orders of Patriarch Linghua, this matter has been going on for 10,000 years. Even the Patriarch wouldn't have thought that the person who would discover the secret 10,000 years later would be a little girl without spiritual power. Why don't we compromise? Chapter 168. 3 conditions. The first condition is that I can enter and leave the sect's library as I please. The second condition is that the rolling pin belongs to me. The third condition is that you give me a gold medal to exempt me from death. Yun Chujio said with a smile. Everyone thought that Yun Chujio would ask for spirit stones or medicinal pills, but they did not expect her to raise such 3 conditions. The first condition was not a big deal, but the second and third conditions were a bit trickier to deal with. Although that black stick looked like an ordinary stick now, how could the thing left behind by Patriarch Linghua just be an ordinary thing? As for the third condition, it was even more ridiculous. If Yun Chujio betrayed the sect, then with the so-called get-out-of-jail-free token would come to her aid. Would that not allow one to do whatever they wanted? Master Xianyuan pondered for a moment. Little Ancestor Yun, I can agree to these 3 conditions, but I also have 3 conditions. Little Xianyuan, speak. Yun Chujio said nonchalantly, but inwardly, she cursed at the old fox. First, before your identity is officially confirmed, I hope that little Ancestor Yun will not reveal anything to anyone. Of course, no one here will leak this matter and everything will be the same as before. Little Ancestor Yun is still a servant of our Spirit Radiance sect. Master Xuanyuan's words were deeply appreciated by Elder Shao and the others. When they thought of bowing to such a little girl, they almost broke down. Yun Chuzhou nodded. Sect leader, I agree to this condition. When Master Xinyuan saw that Yun Chuzhou immediately entered the role, he could not help but think highly of Yun Chuzhou in his heart. Then he said, second, our Spirit Radiance sect doesn't have the so-called death exemption token. However, as the sect leader, I promise you that as long as you don't do anything that betrays the sect, I can exempt you from a punishment. Yun Chuzhou rolled her eyes. I also agree to this condition. Thirdly, if the sect is in danger, little Ancestor Yun, please consider the bigger picture and help us. As soon as Master Xinyuan finished speaking, everyone's faces froze. Sect leader, have you been kicked in the head by a spirit beast? How could such a useless snack without spirit energy help them? The crowd looked at Yun Chuzhou again and was even more furious. They saw Yun Chuzhou touching her chin and lowering her head in deep thought, as if she was really considering whether to agree to this condition. They thought to themselves that they had seen thick-skinned people, but they had never seen such a shameless person. Yun Chuzhou thought for a moment and then said seriously, well, as your elder, if it doesn't hurt my life, I will help you. Everyone was so angry that they almost fainted. Yun Chuzhou, do you still have any sense of shame? Who do you think you are? You dug out a broken stick and you really became a genius from that thrash you were? You really think you've become the thigh of Spirit Radiance sect? You even said that if it didn't harm your life, then you would help. You really think too highly of yourself. Even if we were beaten to death, we wouldn't ask for your help. The corner of Master Xuanyuan's eyes twitched. The reason why he mentioned this condition was just in case. After all, Grandmaster Linghua would not leave such a verbal order for no reason. However, no matter how he looked at it, Yun Chuzhou did not seem like a person who could save Spirit Radiance sect from danger. Alright, since that's the case, then according to what Elder Shao said, if little Ancestor Yun can be ranked in the top 10 in the new disciple trials in a year's time, then we will acknowledge your identity as little Ancestor Yun. If you can't be ranked, we'll also give you a spot as an inner disciple. We'll pretend that what happened today never happened. Master Xinyuan announced his final decision. Chapter 169. Little Noodle or Little Stick. Yun Chuzhou took the black stick and carried it with a valiant spirit. Yes, she carried it away. Fuck. Why is this damn broken stick so heavy? Yun Chuzhou used all her strength to barely carry it and staggered away with the stick. Master Xianyuan and the others looked at Yun Chuzhou's back and the corners of their eyes twitched. No matter how they looked at this Yun Chuzhou, it just didn't make sense. Could Patriarch Linghua have made a mistake? A few elders filled the soil back in and then carefully covered the green stone slab on it again. Seeing that there were no traces left, they all dispersed. Feng Ming was stunned for a long time before he also left in a daze. Yun Chuzhou cursed as she walked. Fuck. I'm just looking for trouble for myself. Such a broken stick is not only useless, it's also so heavy. I might as well throw it here. After saying that, Yun Chuzhou actually threw the black stick on the ground and then hopped toward the dormitory. After Yun Chuzhou walked for a distance, Little Black cried out in alarm, Master! Master! Quickly turn around. The stick has become a spirit. The stick has become a spirit. Yun Chuzhou was already mentally prepared. She turned around and saw the black stick jumping toward her. Yun Chuzhou curled her lips. If you want to follow me and have a good life, then stop being so narrow-minded. Otherwise, I'll give you to little Xianyuan and have him lock you in the spirit tool pavilion so that you can sleep all day. The stick leaned forward a few times as if it was nodding. Yun Chuzhou said with disdain, it's fine if you look ugly, but you're overweight. Hurry up and become lighter. Otherwise, you can hop behind me. The black stick paused for a moment and then flew into Yun Chuzhou's hand. The corner of Yun Chuzhou's mouth curled up. It was indeed much lighter. At least you're sensible. Don't worry, Master. One day, I'll let you regain your former glory and become the #1 rolling pin in the world. The black stick trembled a few times and then stopped moving. Yes, master. I have to give you a good name. Let me think. Yun Chujo held the stick with one hand and touched her chin with the other. Little Black looked at the black stick sympathetically. With the master's level of naming, the name she gave would not be any better. Actually, it's not bad for you to be called Little Black. But it's a pity that Little Black already has this name. Let me think again. Yes, I have it. You shall be called Little Flame. The black stick trembled even more violently. Yun Chujo narrowed her eyes. What? You don't like the name Little Flame? Then do you want to be called Little Noodle or Little Stick? The trembling of the black stick suddenly stopped. Yun Chujo nodded her head in satisfaction. That's right. A wise man submits to circumstances. You shouldn't try to go against my authority. Otherwise, you'll only end up in an even worse situation. Little Black, I'll leave Little Flame's education to you from now on. Little Black agreed very happily. Although it was only a stick, this little lord also had a little brother. Yun Chujo took the stick and brought Little Black back to the dormitory. As it was early in the morning, they did not meet many people along the way. Although everyone was puzzled as to why Yun Chujo was jumping around with a rolling pin, no one went forward to ask. Yun Chujo jumped to the dormitory and muttered, anyway, I've applied for leave, so don't waste it. I can use this time to catch up on my sleep. After washing up, she took off her coat and lay on the bed. Not long after, she fell asleep. Yun Chujo let out a light snore. A white light sneakily shot out from between Yun Chujo's brows and went straight for the black stick that was placed at the door. Chapter 170. The wolf in sheep's clothing. Just as the white light was about to reach the black stick, Little Black flew over from the side and threw a purple fireball at the white light. The white light obviously did not expect Little Black to be able to release spiritual power, and it was a fireball with the power of lightning. In a hurry, it wanted to hide between Yun Chujo's eyebrows again. Unexpectedly, Yun Chujo, who was supposed to be sleeping, suddenly sat up and shot a bolt of lightning at it. The white light was shocked. Was it because it had been sleeping for too long? Why could a young fire-breathing crow shoot out a fireball with the power of thunder and lightning? Why could a trash without spiritual power shoot thunder and lightning? Plus, it was purple. Yun Chujo finally saw the true appearance of the white light. It was a very small silver dragon with gleaming scales which made it look like white light. Are you the spirit of the rolling pin? Yun Chujo covered her brows with one hand and prepared to attack with the other. The silver dragon raised its neck and opened its mouth to speak in the soft voice of a little girl. That's right. Why aren't you bowing when you see a senior? Little Wawa's disciples and granddisciples are getting worse. Yun Chujo was shocked. You're a female? This sentence seemed to have touched the little silver dragon's sore spot. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws as it shouted, so what if I'm a female? You're female too. Yun Chujo's heart was intrigued and she probed. Could it be that it's because you're a female that Patriarch Linghua buried you under the stone? How did you know? The little silver dragon was obviously shocked. I figured so. Could it be that ancestral master Linghua was afraid that after a long period of time, he would develop feelings for you and fall in love with you? That's why he simply buried you under the green stone slab and waited for me to appear? Yun Chujo's mind was wide open as she spoke with great joy. You're talking nonsense. Little Hua Hua isn't that kind of improper person. It's just that I'm Een and little Hua Hua is young, so I can't unleash my full power. Moreover, my body is a rod, and little Hua Hua uses a sword. So before I ascended, he buried me under the green stone slab, waiting for the fated person. The silver dragon glared at Yun Chujo, obviously very dissatisfied with her arrangement of the former master. Little Flame, you're wrong to say that. It's natural for men and women to love each other. How is that impolite? Don't worry, I'll definitely find a male rolling pin for you in the future so that you two can pair up. Yun Chujo winked at the little white dragon. Little Flame? This rod has a name. It is the 9th Heaven Silver Dragon Wind Fire Rod. Not something vulgar like Little Flame. The silver dragon was obviously very dissatisfied with Yun Chujo's name. Previously, it could only command the black rod to do some simple actions between Yoon Chujia's brows. Otherwise, it would have protested long ago. Little flame, do you think you have the ability to negotiate with me? If my guess is correct, you must have encountered some kind of trouble. Either your spiritual power has been greatly reduced, or you've suffered a serious injury, or you must have made some kind of oath to my master. Otherwise, how could a mere stone trap you? Now it's a matter of whether I want you or not. If you don't know what's good for you, I'll send you back to little Shanyan. Yoon Chujio said with a sneer. The silver dragon clearly did not expect Yoon Chujio to be so difficult to deal with. At first, it thought that Yoon Chujio was the most useless among those people, so it was best to get rid of her. Therefore, it hid between Yoon Chujio's brows. Who would have thought that this was a freaking wolf in sheep's clothing? And it was also a wolf who ate people without spitting out their bones. The silver dragon looked at the little black bird who was staring with its green bean eyes, and then looked at Yoon Chujio, who had a cold smile on her face. With a sobbing voice it said, "Then what exactly do you want?" As you have seen, Little Black and I are both great geniuses that rarely appear in 10,000 years. As the saying goes, you are the product of your environment. If you follow us, how can you not be powerful? Fourth, I'm the kindest person. I definitely won't mistreat you. In the future, I might even find you a male rod. When the time comes, you'll cultivate into human form and make a few more small rods. What a beautiful thing. Fifthly, I'm the disciple of the little Hua Hua that you mentioned. In the future, when I ascend, you can still meet your little Hua Hua. Yoon Chujia's smile was very gentle, as if a spring breeze had completely fooled the innocent little silver dragon. The little silver dragon said excitedly, "All right. I'll acknowledge you as my master. Let's form a contract." Yoon Chujio showed a forced expression. "All right. Then you better hurry up, lest I regret it later." When the silver dragon heard that, it quickly rushed into the body of the black staff. Then, Yoon Chujio bit her middle finger and dripped blood on the top of the black staff. After Yoon Chujio did as she was told, a ray of dark light shot through the roof of Yoon Chujio's house and into the sky. Success! Although the dark light was dazzling, fortunately, it only lasted for a short moment, so it did not attract anyone's attention. Those who saw it thought that their eyes were blurred. However, in the clouds there happened to be an air transportation spiritual tool passing by. The decorations inside were extremely luxurious. Other than the man who controlled the air transportation spiritual tool, there was a red-clothed man lying on the soft couch. His long black hair was casually scattered behind him, and he was playing with a skull in his hand. It was obviously an extremely terrifying thing, but when the man did it, it made people feel that it was pleasing to the eye. He was as lazy as a painting. After the man in red saw the flash of black ray, the corners of his mouth curled up. An immortal tool acknowledging its master? Interesting. Chapter 172. Rolling pin. Young master, shall we go down and take a look? The man controlling the air transportation spiritual tool asked for instructions. No need. The main business is more important. Come to the Spirit Radiance sect again when you have time. The red-clothed man exerted a little strength in his hand and the skull in his hand turned into powder. Then a new skull appeared in his hand. Yoon Chujio did not know that she had already been targeted by someone. At that moment, she had a look of despair on her face. When Yoon Chujio saw that she had successfully formed the contract, she did not have the time to praise herself in her heart when she saw the rolling pin dancing in the room. Little flame, we've already formed the contract. Shouldn't you reveal your true form? Yoon Chujio asked the rolling pin expectantly. Master, this is my true form. How awe-inspiring. The rolling pin flew a few rounds in front of Yoon Chujio smugly. Yoon Chujio looked at the 1.5-foot-long rolling pin. Although there was a dark light flashing around her, she really could not consider it awe-inspiring. She coughed dryly and asked, Little Flame, didn't you say that you're the 9th heaven silver dragon wind fire rod? Shouldn't your true form be very awe-inspiring? The rolling pin paused in midair for a moment, Then it turned its body longer and longer. Master, is that what you mean? I can turn into a very long form. Does that mean you change the length of your body whenever you want? Yun Chujiu looked at Xiaohua expectantly. Of course I can. However, I can only unleash my full power when I transform into my true form. Yun Chujiu was so angry that she began to twitch. If she could not unleash her full power, it would be useless even if she turned into a telephone pole. She finally understood why ancestral Master Linghua did not care about using this so-called immortal artifact. It was too damn embarrassing. A vivid image immediately appeared in front of Yun Chujiu's eyes. On the dueling platform, the other party took out a majestic large saber, and then she took out a rolling pin. Just thinking about it made her embarrassed. However, Yun Chujiu changed her mind. The rolling pin also had the advantage of a rolling pin. At the very least, it could make the other party underestimate the opponent. Moreover, no one would have thought that a rolling pin was a so-called immortal artifact. Alright, then you can maintain this state. However, when you're outside, you have to hide the dark light so as not to attract other people's attention. Yun Chujiu's ability to accept things was quick, so she decided to let the rolling pin be. After Yun Chujiu successfully abducted the rolling pin, she yawned twice. You two play, I'll catch up on my sleep. Yun Chujiu fell asleep very quickly. The little black bird and little flame looked at each other, then turned their heads in tacit understanding. What the hell? Humph. Little black thought to itself. It thought that it had taken in a little brother, but it did not expect it to be a little girl and a useless rolling pin. Just thinking about it made it embarrassed. Little flame looked down on the little black bird even more. It was ugly. How could it be as smart as it was? On top of that, it wanted to take the rolling pin in as a little brother. In its dreams, Yun Chujiu slept until the sun set. She washed up briefly, then took out the food that she had, borrowed from the big kitchen from her storage ring and called for the little black bird to eat. Before little black could fly over, the rolling pin floated over. Master, little flame also wants to eat. Little black hugged its wings and rolled on the ground laughing. Ha ha ha. I'm dying of laughter. You, a rolling pin, want to eat? Do you have a mouth? Do you have a stomach? Do you have a butt? There seemed to be green smoke coming out of the rolling pin and it hit Little Black. Little Black quickly flapped its short wings and landed on Yun Chujiu's leg. Master, master, save me. The rolling pin is going to kill me. Chapter 173. Gluttonous snake cough cough. Little flame, stop. Although Little Black's words aren't pleasant to hear, I'm also very curious. How are you going to eat? Yun Chujiu held back her laughter and asked the rolling pin. The small silver dragon floated out from the rolling pin. Master, I'm the one eating, not my main body. Yun Chujiu felt that this was more like it. However, how much could such a small dragon eat? One bun was probably enough for it to eat several meals. However, after 15 minutes, Yun Chujiu was no longer calm. What the fuck? What kind of dragon was this? It was simply a gluttonous snake. Although the small silver dragon was small in size, it was very gluttonous. It had already eaten 10 buns, but it actually did not have the slightest intention of being full. Cough cough. Little flame, although this bun tastes good, eating too much will cause indigestion. Master, I've been hungry for 10,000 years. Can't you let me have a full meal? The silver dragon said aggrievedly. Yun Chujiu touched her nose. Alright, forget I said anything. At worst, she could just go to the big kitchen and borrow food. The silver dragon finally expressed that it was full before Yun Chujiu collapsed. Little Black said disdainfully, no wonder it looks like a rolling pin. It turns out that it's a good for nothing. The silver dragon returned to Little Flame's body with a whoosh and smacked the little black bird. Yun Chujiu knew that nothing would really happen to the two of them, so she ignored them and went back to the house to clean up the mess. Although the fireball and the lightning that Little Black shot out were controlled, they still inevitably made a mess in the house. She was lucky that the house didn't burn down. Junior sister Little Jiu, are you home? Feng Ming's voice came from outside the courtyard. Senior brother Feng Ming, am here. Come in quickly. Yun Chujiu replied and left the house. Feng Ming saw Yun Chuzhou and scratched his head unnaturally. Well, little ancestor Yun, can I continue to call you junior sister little Jiu? Yun Chuzhou bared her teeth. We're one and the same. You'll always be my senior brother Feng Ming. Feng Ming chuckled. I knew that junior sister isn't the kind of person who sticks to etiquette. The sect leader asked me to tell you something. If anyone asks about what happened last night, you can say that. Yun Chuzhou nodded repeatedly. She thought to herself, Master Xianyuan is indeed an old fox. How cunning. Not long after Feng Ming left, Yun Chuzi and the others came back from work. Everyone went straight to Yun Chujia's courtyard. Little Jiu, are you all right? What did you find in the square? Yun Chulu could not hide his words. The moment he entered the courtyard, he started shouting. I'm fine. I'm fine. I just found a few green stone slabs with very tiny holes. Senior brother Feng Ming has already reported it to the sect leader. The sect leader has already sent someone to repair it, and he even gave me permission to enter the library to read books in the future. Yun Chuzhou told her what Feng Ming had told her. Really? That's great. I told you that our little Jiu is smart. She definitely won't be in a daze on the square for no reason. Yun Chuzi's face was full of pride. Qing Si looked at Yun Chuzhou suspiciously. Little Jiu, why would the very tiny holes on the green stone slabs alert the sect leader? Qing Si, you don't know this. The Southern Jade Square was built by the founder of our Spirit Radiance sect, Patriarch Linghua. Naturally, there shouldn't be any damage. Those tiny holes were created by a type of stone-eating ant. If we don't take action soon, the entire Southern Jade Square will be destroyed. Yun Chuzhou said nonsense with a straight face. Chapter 174. Yun Chujia's method. With Yun Chujia's explanation, everyone nodded their heads. No wonder the sect leader rewarded Little Jiu. Little Jiu had indeed made a great contribution. Yun Chuzi took out the dinner that he had brought for Yun Chuzhou from his storage bag. Yun Chuzhou took it with a smile. Everyone chatted for a while more before Yun Chuzi and the others left. Yun Chuzhou saw the rolling pin flying toward the stone table, and quickly put the food into her storage ring. The rolling pin awkwardly turned around and went to play with Little Black. Yun Chuzhou cursed in her heart. She did not know how good this rolling pin was, but it was truly a foodie. The next day, the news of Yun Chuzhou receiving the reward spread throughout the entire Spirit Radiance sect. Everyone felt that Yun Chuzhou had really lucked out. One had to know that the access to the library was limited according to one's status. Servant disciples could only borrow books on the first level, but this Yun Chuzhou had suddenly obtained the same access as the elders. It was really enviable. Those who came to the cafeteria to eat could not help but say a few words of jealousy. Fortunately, Yun Chuzhou was a big-hearted person. One could say whatever they wanted to say and she would just ignore you. When everyone saw that Yun Chuzhou was not affected by it, it became pointless to talk about it. After a few days, no one brought it up anymore. Yun Chuzhou was a little troubled. Although she had access to the library, she did not have the time. She had 3 meals a day, and sometimes she had to cook supper. How could she have the time to read books? Hence this fellow started thinking. One day when everyone was having lunch, Yun Chuzhou walked to Elder Huang and said seriously, Elder Huang, I have a suggestion. I don't know if it's appropriate. Elder Huang smiled. What suggestion? Just say it. Elder Huang, why are the staff in the big kitchen not welcomed? Yun Chuzhou asked curiously. Elder Huang's face was very awkward. Yun Chuzhou quickly tugged at Yun Chujia's sleeve. Yun Chuzhou winked at her. Sai, our spiritual power is too low, that's why it's like this. Elder Huang sighed. Then why is our spiritual power too low? Yun Chuzhou continued to ask. This time, without waiting for Elder Huang to speak, Ho Tian said, firstly, our aptitude is not as good as the others. Secondly, we are busy all day. How will we have time to cultivate? Yun Chuzhou snapped her fingers. That's right. The crux of the problem lies here. There might be some slight differences in aptitude, but the crux is that we don't have time to cultivate. If we have the time and the correct cultivation method, I believe that our middle peak kitchen isn't inferior to anyone from any department. Meili said in a muffled voice, "Little girl, do you even need to say that? The main thing is that we really don't have time to cultivate. If we cook any meal too late, it would be bad." Yun Shujo bared her little white teeth. "Elder Huang, everyone, I have a good idea. It won't delay work, but it can also free up time for us to cultivate." "What idea?" Everyone's eyes lit up as they looked at Yun Shujo with hope. Yun Shujo straightened her small body and said with her hands behind her back, "Although some words may not sound good on the surface, I have to say it today. Although everyone is working, it's inevitable that there will be times when they are sneaky and cunning." "Why is that?" When Yun Shujo said that, some people could not help but feel a little guilty. Everyone was lazy at some point, and sometimes it was inevitable that they would be lazy. This is because of the big pot of rice. To put it bluntly, it's just to make up the numbers. No matter how much you do, it will be the same. My method is to divide us into 3 groups and work in turns. Bei Yuan was the first to react. "Little Joe, you mean that one group can work while the other 2 groups can cultivate?" "That's right. That's exactly what I mean. This way, everyone can rest for 2 days after a day of work. Of course, if everyone's enthusiasm is aroused, they can also be divided into 4 groups and 5 groups, then everyone will have more time to rest. What do you think of my idea?" Chapter 175. Envy, jealousy, and hatred. Everyone did not speak for a long time. Yun Shujo touched her nose. Could it be that it was not possible? After a while, the dumbfounded people seemed to have woken up from a dream and burst out with great joy. Meili grinned and laughed loudly. "You 10 girl. You have so many wicked ideas. Not bad. Not bad. Old Huang, I think this idea will work." "Yes, this idea is brilliant. If there are no special matters, 1/3 of the people can be on duty, just enough to cope with the normal 3 meals a day. There will definitely be no problems. When I think of having 2 days of rest, not only am I willing to cover a 3-person job, I would be willing to take on 5. Yes, this way we can have time to cultivate properly. Let's see if those people still dare to look down on us." "Good. Very good. Very good. Little Joe, you're such a smart child. No wonder you got the sect leader's reward." Elder Huang was very happy. With this, not only do we have the time to cultivate, but we also have more time to rest than any other department in the servant department. Over time, I don't believe that we still can't beat them. Yun Shujo smiled mischievously. "Oh, everyone stop praising me. I just want to be able to slack off openly. Haha." When Yun Shujo said this, everyone laughed as well. The atmosphere in the kitchen was extremely harmonious. At that moment, Manager Ding walked in from outside. Everyone's laughter stopped abruptly, and the atmosphere became very subtle. Manager Ding's face was gloomy as he glanced around. He snorted coldly and walked out. "Old Huang, what kind of background does this Manager Ding have to make you so afraid of him?" Yun Shujo asked curiously. Old Huang sighed. "Our small temple really can't accommodate this great Buddha. Manager Ding's brother is Elder Qi's true disciple, Ding Lang. The status of a true disciple is quite high, so how can we afford to offend him? Moreover, Elder Qi is an elder of our pill refining room, so we really can't afford to offend him." Yun Shujo was stunned and cursed in her heart. It's Elder Qi again? If it was another elder, it would be easier to handle. She used her status as the little ancestor that she had yet to settle down to suppress him. However, she did not see Elder Qi on the square that day, so he did not know her identity. It seemed that this matter had to be planned meticulously. "Everyone, don't bother about him. Come, let's split up the groups first." Yun Shujo greeted everyone warmly. The atmosphere in the big kitchen became lively again. Everyone started to discuss the matter of the groups. Very soon, Elder Huang divided everyone into 3 groups. He even very considerately divided the Yun siblings into 1 group. This way they could have their rest time together. In the beginning, everyone was still a little worried. The number of people had suddenly decreased by 2/3. Whether the remaining people could handle it or not, this kind of worry soon disappeared. The potential of a person was endless. The people on duty worked very hard in order to win 2 days of rest and completed the work without any mistakes. Thus, the Middle Peak Kitchen set a precedent for the servants of the Spirit Radiance sect. 1 day of work, 2 days of rest. It was simply too nourishing, was it not? Gradually, the other servants' departments discovered this matter. The other 5 Peaks kitchens followed suit and began to take turns working. However, the other departments could not do it. Every kettle had its lid in those positions, and no one could replace each other. They could only look at the various Peaks kitchens with a face full of envy and hatred. As expected, what Yun Chujo said back then was true. Even if it was a bad place, once Yun Chujo went, it would become a good place. You're tuning in to the Lee May's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.